Alright, hey, I'm Great Grandpa BB. Welcome back to the show. I'm here today with my good friend Duckii, aka Andy Bohr, and
What's up?
Hey, we're gonna be talking a lot about some music. We're down in Canton, Ohio right now. We met each other down here playing some shows, the Buzz Band and George's and all over the place here. And,
yeah.
You know, like I always remember something that you told me once. Like it was like a random night. I think I played at Annabelle's, and like I went across the street, and he's like, "Man, you still playing music, man?"
Hell yeah.
He's like, "I'm glad you are. Here's a beer."
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, like. Because I had kind of a shaky show that night, and
right.
like, you know, that was a good spot to put me, man.
That's what's up, man. Hell
yeah, super appreciated that at the time. But I wanted to jump in and just talk about, I guess, I don't know, like my mindset today about this was just kind of like the meta experience of, I guess, being in front of a microphone, you know?
Right.
And how, like, it's meta to me right now because we're in front of a microphone, right?
Exactly.
But it kind of it changes the dynamic of a conversation. It puts you like in the moment in a spot.
Most certainly. I noticed that, you know, the few times that I've done these.
Yeah.
It definitely is a lot different because instead of my mind kind of wandering, I'm pulled solely into the moment, and then the conversation is kind of just dictated by the correspondence between us and not by like anything that I already had in my mind.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's weird too because then it's like when you play live though. You know, there's a microphone in your face, and there's people on the receiving end. In this case, it'll be whoever's watching this video. And then live, you know, it's the people in the crowd. And it's completely different, though. Everything you're pulling from is just a deep well of song lyrics, greetings to the audience and stuff.
Yeah.
But these fucking podcasts always catch me off guard. Because then it's like, I feel like I have to put like almost like a vestibule or a pause between what I'm thinking and what I'm saying to ensure, like, continuity. I don't know, it is crazy. It is meta for sure.
Yeah. And as far as like, I mean, we're in front of microphones, or we've been in front of microphones for a long time too. You know, so that changes the aspect of it for us, I think, and definitely for me. I know.
I feel it's almost like I mean for a while, even back in like high school when I would do drama or I would do choir, there would be microphones.
Okay.
You know? Or like when I would film myself doing stuff. When I would first start doing it, it was like really weird, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and so a perfect example, dude, is just the pandemic,
right?
And that starting last year, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, I think the last solo set that I played at Buzzbin, was March 14th of last year, and then the very last one I had was just like less than a month ago. You know, so like an 18-month break from doing the Duckii stuff live. And the first few times I was like, dude, fuck it, I'm gonna do like a live stream. I'm gonna figure out how to do it.
Oh, I think I saw some of those. Yeah.
And dude, at first it was weird because it's like I usually get stoked when I play and stuff. And it's like, and I had in my mind, okay, there's people watching this. But it's just a different thing when you're doing it directly to like a screen and not people. But I think after like the third or fourth time, dude, you kind of break down that barrier. You know, and I think the same happened with microphones where now it's just like, I mean, this is recording audio and video, but
for sure.
You kind of see past that to like the end user, which would be
what's something ridiculous that you can say that'll just like keep it going, keep it fresh, keep like, you know.
Right.
But also like some kind of substance, you know, like the to people who aren't in front of microphones all the time, you know what I mean, like public speaking is like one of the greatest fears of humanity, I think. I know it was for me, man. I was like always like one of the quiet kids in school and all that, and like that was my big kind of like hurdle to entry to be a musician, man. You know, like in high school I'd always just be yelling. Like I wouldn't sing anything, I'd just yell every lyric in the song until my voice was gone, you know.
Oh, I know that all too well. For sure. Not worried about hitting notes, just worried about volume.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and also I think I don't know if I was worried about hitting the notes, but I think I was just worried about being in front of people and talking to microphones.
Yeah,
you know?
dude,
like,
I feel that. And it's doing it in like a musical context. My fear's kind of been removed, but even still, so like my day job is being head bartender at a resort that's like 20 minutes south of here.
Okay.
Right, and so we do like there's a bunch of cabins and stuff. It's real nice. But I used to just bartend at a brewery, so like pouring beer and stuff. And now I'm making cocktail menus and doing liquor and doing wines. And when I have to speak, like if I have to speak in front of somebody in like a matter related to alcohol, so maybe I'm doing like a wine tasting for 10 people or teaching like a mixology class, dude, I still get so fucking nervous. Because even though I know that like I know what it is I'm going over, I know the wines that they're trying, I know how to make this cocktail and how to explain it, but it's not music. And so, like, if I had to do this and talk about fucking anything else right now, I'd be freaking out. Because it was definitely, like, a barrier I had to jump through. And to kind of, like, piggyback on that, dude, even still, playing music, I don't necessarily, like, I don't get jitters whenever I take the stage, either with Divorce Horse or, like, solo. But what I have a really hard time with is, like, jumping into entertainer mode. You know? Because when I'm up on stage, the biggest part of me just wants to make sure that I'm doing everything as perfect as possible and not fucking everything up. And at the expense of me standing still and usually looking down or at my computer or whatever. And so then I realized it's like, no, like you have to find that balance, right? Because I could put on a perfect fucking show and I'll be super stoked. But if I'm just standing there motionless the whole time, or like you can't tell the vibe on my face, or like I'm not wearing a happy expression or whatever, then people might not be into it as much. And so dude,
people want to be part of the show
100%,
you know? Like, and you gotta like figure out a way to like, you almost have to like define the show to the people as the show's happening, you know? And that's something I learned from a guy named Kevin Overmeyer. He like, he would be playing folk songs and stuff, but he'd be at a bar and just like, okay, this is the bar, this is where you are, this is where I am, this is the weather, you know, like, I'm wow, okay.
That's
like,
killer, dude.
I feel like I belong here now, you know, or something.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I know the first show that I came back from COVID, you know, like I played in March, you know, and then I played in May, and the first show back, man, it was like trial by fire. Like, got a call from the radio station. They're like, hey, play an hour on air.
That's awesome.
And I'm just like, yes. Okay, cool, let's do this. And then so, you know, I get there and there's like, I didn't realize there was going to be a bunch of people there too, you know. And then, and so, and I've never like set up, I never had the setup that I had before, you know. So like I was using a synth with like a volume pedal, like in between like songs and stuff.
Hell yeah, that's sick.
Like,
that's really cool.
But like I started getting real nervous about it at that point, you know, like I'm just like, okay, I need to like take a walk and like kind of, you know, clear out, you know.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
And the main thing that I did was basically just like create the story of like who I am, what I'm doing here, what is today, kind of thing. You know, so that like I kind of I like practiced and recorded my set 4 times, you know, and listened to it 4 times and kind of like was like bantering in my rehearsals, you know.
For sure.
And like, so I had like, I'm like, okay, don't say this, but say this. Don't go up high on that note. Just keep cool, you know, or
dude,
whatever.
That's awesome.
And and like that turned out to be one of the better sets. I feel like in my eyes, you know, like, and it was just a lot of fun because like by the time I got back from the walk, I was like, okay, I'm center. I know exactly where I am. I know what's going on.
That's what's up.
I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm not Great Grandpa BB. Like, names are superfluous. Like, it's a beautiful day outside. You know, we just took over the radio station. What's up?
That's so cool. It is, man. But and it's like, that happens to me sometimes. I distinctly remember, this would have been like 10 years ago, but I went to go record vocals for the song. It was a rap song by a dude named J-Mo. So I went to the studio, and I've known J-Mo for like a long time, dude. You know, he used to come to my band's shows when I was like 16. And for some reason, it just got in my head. And that like there were like 4 or 5 other people in the studio. And so immediately I'm like, oh, fuck, they're going to think this sucks. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to mess the words up. And then, dude, I like stepped outside. And then I was just like, listen, dude, you do this all the time. You know, just like a little internal talk. It's like, the people down there aren't going to know left from right anyways. So the only thing that matters is whether J-Mo likes it, and he does. So fuck it, dude. You know, but even then, it's like, when you're thrown into situations, or at least me as an artist, it's like, hey, come play some tracks, and I show up and there's people there. I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Especially when it gets, like, real busy. Like, one of the things I think I've struggled with is doing Duckii sets, but, like, not the all electronic kind of stuff that I do, right?
Okay, yeah.
So a lot of the times, dude, I would play like wineries or breweries or do like acoustic sets.
Yeah.
And so I still bring like this pedal board, and then I would throw some covers in, and then I would throw some originals in, and do like a lot of live looping stuff, you know, so use like the octave pedal for bass. And dude, every single time like I would do it, I would write down all the originals I have and all the covers that I know, but never like make a set list for them.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes that worked really good.
Yeah.
But then sometimes, dude, it just felt, especially if it was a place like I played a place called the Hideaway Lounge in Maslin.
Okay.
And this was like right when stuff started opening back up. Acoustic set, 2 hours. You know, I had all my gear. I practiced all the songs a shit ton as well.
Right.
But I get out there and I'm just like, I don't know, like I thought I had everything EQ'd perfectly, and I kept getting a lot of high end.
Okay.
You know, like from the guitar.
Okay.
And it's just like everything after another, and people loved it. They were like, "Wow, that was so good."
Okay.
But it was just one of those nights where I felt like, for whatever reason, dude, I just couldn't get into it, and I just kept stumbling.
Finding the line of the crowd almost.
Yeah.
Or like,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, you know, I might kill a song, but it's like, fuck, did they even know who that was?
Right.
Am I just playing this because I like it? Am I playing it because they like it?
Yeah.
Because I definitely felt like, okay, like, I should gear this towards more of one of those shows where I'm playing stuff people know.
Yeah.
You know, but then you like think you kill it and the crowd doesn't elicit the same response. And I think that's another one of those things where like firmly planting yourself in the moment and like, you know, being able to tell that story and like just connect with them more is something that I wasn't able to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely crucial in just like getting people into what you're doing, you know?
Yeah, and it like if you're playing the same types of audiences all the time, you can kind of like gauge it in ways like that
for
too.
Sure.
You know, for that radio show, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna play for an hour straight right now. You know, like I'm gonna nail it. I know exactly what my set list is.
Hell,
you know?
yeah, dude.
But a band I saw down in Columbus the other night, Willie Nelson Mandela Jr., like they just like we were all just drunk and ridiculous and just like higher than drunk and like but they read everything that we were and just like played it, you know.
That's dope.
And it was just so good, you know.
Yeah,
like,
that rips. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, you can just tell they've been in that situation numerous times, and then they're like, well, at least we're not at the boathouse right now. You guys are way cooler.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Like, that's the type of rhetoric, though, too, you know? It's like, oh, you guys are the coolest people we've ever seen.
Right.
It's like you're trying to flirt with the audience or something like that at that
dude,
point,
for sure.
You know? It's
for
weird.
Sure.
But, yeah, so I guess to take in a different direction, you know, you're saying you work as a bartender now, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
So I've been doing that for a while. I mean, before I was anywhere concrete, it would be like my friends needed help bartending a wedding, or I guest bartended at Buzzbin a couple times,
for
like
sure.
when I was running sound.
Yeah.
And then I worked at a brewery,
Yeah.
actually right down the street. It's called Lockport. And I worked there. They opened up in 2016. So I managed there from like 2018 to 2020, and then I bartended there from 2016 to 2018. So I was there for like 4 years altogether. And then I've been
got your resume on video, man.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else, hit me up.
Yo.
And now I'm at a spot called Columbia Woodlands, just like 10 minutes south.
Okay.
And that's like the resort place. I've been there for almost a year. I think it'll be like September maybe.
That's like, I only bring it up because like we were just talking about sobriety and things, right?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like, and that's got to be just a major challenge just to be around it all the time, because I know like that's one of my ways that I, you know, don't drink, I guess, is I just not around it.
Right,
you know?
right, for
like,
sure. When I first became sober, it was definitely like a fucking task.
Yeah,
Because my whole flirt with sobriety has existed when my work was in bars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for like a long while, dude, it was definitely like, okay, like this is hard, I want to drink. But now it's kind of at the point where like I got out of it, of like the service industry for like a couple months, you know, before I took this new position.
Okay.
And
so you had kind of like a transitional period.
Dude,
kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. And now it's kind of like, I don't know, I think like not drinking has become more of a part of my identity.
Yeah.
And so, like, seeing how people get when they drink has fortified my need to stay sober because it reminds me of the person I can become.
Yeah.
But then I also approach it from just more of a playful angle now. Like, especially when I make, like, the cocktail recipes and shit like that, it's cool to just kind of think of how different flavors are going to pair well with one another. I almost just take all the alcohol aspect out of it. You know what I mean? And I just think about, like, flavors and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
But, dude, starting out, like, not drinking was super fucking hard.
Yeah.
But I think now, probably just because I've done it for a while. You know, it's like my job's super sick. It's like the only service industry job I've had where I have like health insurance. You know, nice. So that's like super. I'm blessed for that.
Yeah. Definitely.
And so then I'm just like, dude, like, I don't know, just have fun with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think another crucial component of that is like I learned to. Whenever I'd find myself in those positions where, like, I want to do something dumb or I want to drink, I'm like, fuck, you know, beer sounds super good right now. Whatever. Yeah. I play the tape forward, you know, and so I'm like, okay. If I have, and I used to never do that.
Yeah, what's gonna happen next?
Fucking A, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
And now that I've learned to use that, it's definitely makes it a lot easier because it just fucking never ends good.
No.
You know?
No, exactly. And then I'm gonna wake up and feel shitty and I'm not gonna do this tomorrow. And,
dude, yeah.
And I want to do this tomorrow. And that's where I got to on Friday. I just didn't drink, and it was like it was an old kind of like family reunion party of sorts. It's like the old friends, so like we all got back together and stuff, and like I'm just like it's been a week. I'm just gonna like hang it up right here.
For sure.
But yeah, and like it was funny because like there's a guy over here, and they're like all like, hey, put a beer in your hand, we got some rum, you know, we got this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm thinking about it, but then I'm like I'm like making commentary to this dude over here, and I was like, yeah, man, just like if you're at a bar and you don't have anything in your hand, look out, man, someone's gonna want to put something there.
Right. Yeah, dude, it's crazy, and that happens all the time too, dude.
Yeah. I think it's just because people don't want to have other people see themselves drunk when you're not drunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
I had never even considered that aspect before, but it makes perfect sense.
I just thought about that a couple nights ago. Yeah. And I was like, man, yeah, like it's like that's how it feeds itself or something.
100%, dude.
You know?
Oh, we got to get this dude drunk. He's not drunk yet. He has to feel like I feel.
Yeah.
For sure. Like hive mind mentality fueled by inebriation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how we yawn together or something.
Right. Like must be drunk communally.
Yeah.
And that is crazy too because it always seems like those people are everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have. Fucking do a shot with us. Do a drink with us. Why are you not drinking?
Yeah.
And it's like, and they're adamant about it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And it's like. It would be maybe easier to brush off if it just happened every now and then.
Yeah.
But almost every time I'm out or playing a show, if there's that one person, where's your fucking beer, Duckii? It's like, don't drink, dude. Yeah.
Throw on the surf sign, man. Everything's cool, right?
Exactly. Like, get out of my face, dude. Yeah, people are wild, man.
But yeah, and like I was saying earlier too, man, I just don't trust my judgment when I'm drinking, like 0%. You know, like I know that like if I'm trying to do some kind of art, you know, like, and it's just I'm not gonna trust any of it if I've been drinking within the 24-hour period.
Right? Yeah. Fuck no, dude. Yeah.
Because like either I'm hungover on the one side or I'm drunk on the other side, and either of those aspects is just like. Man, I'm not going to be excited about what I'm doing. I'm not going to be like, you know, 100% and like, you know, like what am I trying to be introspective about at this point? You know?
Yeah, fucking A, dude.
Like,
oh my god, yeah. And one of the biggest lies I ever told myself was that if I had a couple in me, I performed better.
Right.
Relentlessly, dude. And then it got to the point where it's just like, you know, you are simultaneously lessening your inhibitions while also quelling any anxieties you had.
Yeah.
So then you could be fucking sucking, but you think you're kicking ass.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me so many times, dude. Like there was this one time I played George's Lounge with my dude Mr. 87. And it was just acoustic. Like he was there hanging out, you know. And God bless the bartenders and God bless fucking Kyle McGavern, dude, because I think I lost track of how many double shots of Jameson I did, but it was like way too many. You know? And luckily I wasn't driving or anything, but broke a mic clip. I lost this dude to tuner. I had to get him a new strap. You know, because he left, but he was like, you can borrow my stuff, and I just fucking trashed it like a prick. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that was like the worst case scenario. But then dude, it's like people would always.
That's definitely not the worst case scenario, but like,
true for sure. Definitely like my.
That's a bad call. That's a few bad calls right there for
dude,
sure.
Yeah,
though.
The OVI I got in 2017 is definitely the worst call. Yeah. You know. Yeah. But then just thinking like even far after that, dude. Yeah. People would bring shots up when Divorce Horse is playing. It's like, let's sick, let's go, let's do this. Yeah. And you get into it, you know, there's no denying that. But then listening back, it's just like, dude, like I could have done so much better. You know? Because then it's like, one thing I've learned, especially with having anxiety, like, it's been lessened a lot since I stopped drinking. Because a lot of it, I think, was just fucking hangover anxiety, you know? Right. Because I always go hard, and then it would have that looming anxiety and depression days afterwards. Yeah. Well, those things are still fucking there, but they're easier to manage. Yeah. And now it's like when I'm fucking getting ready to play a set, play a show or whatever, sometimes I do get that anxiety, you know? Yeah. Then I've learned to channel that and just like fucking raise the levels of stoke. Instead of like, oh fuck, like I don't want to feel like this. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I fucking feel like this. Yeah. Sick. You know, let's kill it. And it used to not be like that. I used to not know how to do that.
I've always akin that to, someone told me once that if you're nervous, that you're actually excited, and just believe you're excited.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, dude. I heard the same, that anxiety and excitement like register in the brain the same way, but it's how you react to it. Yes. You know? Yeah, and exactly. I fucking totally feel that, dude, especially now. You know? It's like, I don't...
100%.
Yeah, man.
Like, and that's how I've been able to, like, just kind of channel it and go and just be, like, you know, 100% there for it, and not, like... Yeah, because, I mean, it's a lot of... You're dealing with a lot of energy, you know, like, when you're in front of people, or, like, when you're playing like that, and it's... energy that they're giving you, energy that you're throwing back, and it's just, it builds, and you got to be able to be on the upswing of it. You got to be floating on top of it, not drowning in it.
100%, dude. 100%. Yeah, I was drowning in it for a while, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so have I. I've done it.
Right, dude. And I think another thing that kind of plays into all of that is just being grateful for the fact that I have the opportunity to play shows. Right. Because it's definitely like, dude, when I was drinking or whatever, you know, even in my sobriety and just being in like a bad mood or something like that. But it's like there's definitely been those shows where it's like, fuck, I have to pack all my gear up and then I have to go set it up and I'm gonna be there late and I'm not gonna get a lot of sleep. But then it's like thinking about it harder, you know, and like sitting with it. It's like, dude, but like I have the opportunity to do that. Oh, and not only do I get paid to do that, but it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just when I really think about it, it's like it should be a fucking blessing and an opportunity every step of the way.
Yeah, it's, I mean, what is a show, you know? Like, it's a community event where you can actually bring people together. Right. You know, and you almost, like, take the role of, like, a community leader at that point, which 100%. Is so weird.
100%, dude. And it always offers me, you know, when approached with gratitude, it always offers me cathartic release. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if I go into being down here and getting everything ready and just being stoked and just trying to channel, you know, like the jitters that I might have into that positive side, then it's like, dude, I get up there and it's like, and it always seems to work better when I approach it with a better mindset. Yeah. And I'm sure that's just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. You know, but it's like, dude, if I just get stoked on the fact that I'm able to go and play these songs and like, people are gonna fucking like them and some of my friends are gonna be there, you know? It's just like, I feel like it's easy when you play shows for a long time, it's easy to be like, okay, there's only 20 people here, this sucks. Right, okay, you know, we're not headlining, this sucks. When in reality, I think for me, what I realize now more than ever is that it's like those shows where there are only 20 people, I like just as much as the shows where I've played for 600 people. Exactly. Because you're connecting so much more intimately with them. Yeah. And it's like you leave way more of a lasting impression because you have more of a chance to talk to them after the show and like they're right there for it. Or even
on the microphone, they're just like standing right there. You're like, hey, dude, like what about this?
You know? Exactly. It makes it way more personal instead of just like glancing at eyes and addressing a room full of like, you know, 500 people. Yeah. It's like, no, I'm addressing you directly. What's up? How are you tonight? Is everything good? Cool. You having fun? Cool. Yeah. And like when that was done to me when I would go to shows where there weren't a lot of people, it was fucking awesome. You know, as me being like in the crowd as a spectator, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, definitely. I love playing the smaller shows and like it's just it's interesting how, you know, like just the song, like the song aspect of like what we used to consider church, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's very much like how do you build communities in a place, you know, and then like also then what's your story, you know, like.
Yeah.
And that's those are lines of country and folk singer songwriters and
right,
you know, like they're more condensed. Like lately in my heart, I've been feeling this thing where like I've been wanting to listen to folk music, but I also don't know who to listen to right now because I haven't generally like veered in that direction a lot, you know. I used to listen to a lot, you know, a decent amount of bluegrass and things like that, and old timing, because like I was doing that at a time.
Right,
you know?
Right, for sure.
But like actually like folk musicians who are just there with acoustic guitar telling a story, you know, like I'm like really like yearning for that like substance for some, you know, for some reason right now.
Dude, I feel it, and it is hard to find too, man. Like I went on a little quest within like the past month, you know, and I wanted to make like a nice folk playlist. Just something to like put on and like hear good stories told over top of acoustic instruments, and I was fucking falling so short. You know? And the one dude that came to my mind, and it kind of ties back into just being a spectator at a concert with a few people. Yeah. And it might have even been did you play with a dude named the Suitcase Junket at Buzzbin?
Not that I remember.
Okay. So this homie's I think his name is also Matt.
Okay.
He's from Western Massachusetts.
Cool.
He had and I just remember being blown away because he had 4 tiny amps on stage.
Yeah.
One was two were guitar amps and 2 were vocal amps.
Okay.
His kick drum was like a suitcase that he had backwards, so he would hit it with his heel.
Yeah.
And then his snare was a pot that had a beater attached to it with a drumstick taped to it, and then his hi-hat was like on a hi-hat stand. Yeah. But then it was all these cut up cans.
Okay.
And dude, like his sound was so unreal, and he played 2 songs. So he's like a one-man band, playing this crazy tuning, like low, and it was like everything was distorted, but it had so much clarity to it. Yeah. And he's just ripping these fucking songs, dude. Yeah. And there's one that's called Made of Rain, and I bought like both of his records on vinyl that night. Still listen to him regularly. Nice. But like that song, Made of Rain, and his other song, I think, Oh My. I heard both of those just like 5 feet away from him. Yeah. And it just like, I was blown away. Dude. Nice. You know, because I ran sound for him, and so I'm like, he's setting up, and I'm like, I don't know what this is going to be about. Yeah. And it fucking took me to a whole nother level, dude. It was so cool. Yeah.
It's easy for me to just like fall into garage rock all day, or some good hip hop, or like all these things, you know, that are just like, they're almost like candy. They're like sugar. They're so easy.
Yeah,
you know
100%, I mean? Dude, for sure.
And like everything's broken down to lines, you know. Mm-hmm. And I had an experience like that with a guy named Steve Poltz, man. Like that guy is just he's on an entirely different level of like human, right? Like he's like the things that he does between the songs are more important than his actual songs.
Yeah,
you know,
dude, for sure.
And he's just up there, like, he'll be in the middle of a song, and he'll just stop in the middle of the song and start telling the story about the song, come back to the song, and, you know, at the end.
That's really cool.
And it's like, man, like, yeah.
That's badass.
He's known for, he wrote a song for Jewel, like, when she was first getting big, you know?
Okay.
Like, You Were Meant for Me, maybe, or something like that, one of those. But, and then, so he's just been kind of riding on that, but, like, all of his, like, albums he's been coming out with are just, like, he has a song called Folk Singer that's just, like, takes you on this like trip of like him going like he's like I'm folk singer I'm, I don't know knock down punk, you know, still a dead ringer for a folk singer, all this shit, and then he just like fast talking story, you know, like his baggage is on an airplane going one way, his girlfriend's breaking up with him over here, he got some food tickets at this bar, you know, like
that's awesome.
The radio station taped the show for next week, but I'm playing tonight, you know, shit like that.
Hell
like,
yeah, that's super cool.
All the things that you know about playing a show is in that song, you know, like every single one. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. What's his name?
Steve Poltz.
Poltz, okay.
Yeah, dude, he played at the Jubilee Go Festival, and he played in Milan a couple of times.
All right.
My one buddy who's got really good at booking a few folk singers. Well, the way he did it, he would make these like belt buckles for these guys because these are like his favorite people, you know.
Hell yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna make belt buckles for these guys. His name's Josh Ott. Makes amazing, you know, like craft work, like, and he's an inventor. He has a patent. I don't know.
No
anyway.
way, that's far out.
Yeah. But he was making these belt buckles for these guys. He lives like right in town there, you know, in Norwalk, and he's like, oh, I booked this guy for, you know, uptown in Milan, Ohio, and there's like, you know, 5,000 people in Milan, you know.
Yeah, that's
like,
sick. Bringing him out, that's so cool though.
Yeah, yeah.
I want a belt buckle.
I know, right? Yeah. He made me one, man. He made me one with like the circle square, like.
Dude, hell yeah. That's
like,
far out.
I was like, come on, man.
That'd be a really cool gift to receive. Just like, hey,
yeah.
I want you to come play my town of 5,000 people. Here's like a custom 1-of-1 belt buckle for you.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm fucking on my way.
I'm so there right now. Yeah. Like,
hell yeah.
But to double back on a point we were making earlier, how you were talking about like appreciating shows and things.
Yeah.
And I think that just in the last year of like the lockdown and no shows happening, you know,
right,
everybody is just appreciating it so much more now.
100%, dude.
Even after like 1 month of like from March to like middle of April or something like that of no shows, I was outside my door and I heard a rock and roll band playing and I walked there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, some kids are playing rock and roll. I gotta
see what's going on.
Yeah.
No, it's so true too, man. Like, I just remember being fucking miserable, you know. There were all these bands that were going on tour and I wanted to catch, and then that got canceled, and then these festivals got pushed back, and then I couldn't play shows.
Yeah.
And dude, now it's just like, oh my god, it's amazing. Even just going to like local shows and seeing people play.
Yeah.
Just like,
I'm like, dude, oh my god, there's other people here, and there's music, and
yeah, it's so cool. Cause I never really realized like how much I appreciated all that until it was gone.
Yeah.
Until it was gone.
And that's how how it works, man. That's how our deal is, you know.
Got way too comfortable with it. Oh, we'll have this forever.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly.
But everybody told themselves about a lot of stuff.
I was over at my buddy's house yesterday, and I was like describing the structure of this song that I'm writing right now, where I was like, all right, like it's real surfy, you know, real Monsters vibe, and then like the guitar player's playing this, so I'm gonna mimic him, and we're gonna play that riff, and then we're just gonna like nail that riff for a while, let the drummer solo for a while, until like I fall off, and then the drummer falls off, and then it's just him playing that riff.
That's sick.
Until it just starts getting stupid.
Yeah.
And it all breaks apart and it stops, and then when the crowd thinks the song's over and starts cheering, that's when we just nail it and come back in. Dude. Like just.
Hell yeah.
And like, we started talking about it. I'm like, this is a metaphor for like many things in my life right now. Like, you don't even know, I'm not gonna bring it up, but like, just know, like, I'm not just thinking about this song when I'm saying that.
right. No, yeah, that's crazy, man. So my band Divorce Horse, we just released an EP.
Cool.
And it's like 4 tracks, and shortly before that happened, our guitar player Tucker basically ran away. Right?
Oh, okay.
So we, started the band with him. We were in the band with him. Like, he was in the founding members of Divorce Horse.
Yeah.
And we just, like, he struggled with mental health issues and stuff like that, you know? And so, like, one day he just left and never came back. And, like, hasn't made contact with any of us or whatever.
Yeah.
like, left his significant other, his kids, and just,
wow.
like, it was, like, really heavy, dude.
Damn.
And everything had been written, and that was this EP we released was the last one that he was on with us.
Okay, yeah.
And so all these lyrics that I wrote about kind of just came from the ether. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like, as that tends to happen, it was just like one's called Forevermore, and I wrote it just about this place beyond, like almost like the eternal void.
Yeah.
But rereading all these lyrics after Tucker had left, it was almost like a premonition. You know? Like, it was just super fucking weird, and now every time I read those lyrics or sing those lyrics or say those lyrics, I will always think of him.
Yeah.
Even though they were all written before, because he didn't discuss that with us or anything like that. It was just one day he was gone.
Yeah.
Whatever. And now it's like all I can think about when I hear those lyrics. Because when I wrote them, I was like, I don't really know what this applies to. They're good lyrics, but they kind of just came from the recesses of my mind. And just, and now it's like every single word has a home after the fact. Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. I've had that happen before, too.
Yeah,
where,
it's weird.
Especially, like, going back and, like, listening to old albums and, realizing what you were actually singing about that you didn't even know you were singing about at the time.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, I had that happen to me the other day, and I'm like, man, I think I was being kind of callous to a person in this song, and I didn't really realize it because I was like, oh, this is a good song, you know?
Dude, yeah, 100%.
And I was, you know, and like, I didn't think about them like listening to it until like, I started hearing it, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a whole situation that happened between me and her at one point in the world, and like, and it wasn't good, and it didn't turn out good, and, you know, I felt guilty for a long time, and I thought I was over it, and then I was like listening to this song, and I'm just like, oh man, like, I should have never written that song, you know? Like, and I never played it live, you know? Like, it was like never one of those, it never like came up later. Yeah, it's, I don't know, like, yeah, you really have to like take stock sometimes about like what you're saying out loud, because I find that, like, especially in songwriting where like you're playing stuff live, like where you're writing to play it live, you know, like you're going to be the person that hears that song more than anybody else too.
Exactly.
And so most times when I'm writing, especially all the stuff I've written in the last, you know, I don't know, 6 months here, have all been very like not close to my heart, but just kind of like real, like real, you know, close to the collar almost, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's I'm trying to teach myself something, right?
Yeah, dude, 100%.
Like, because I know where my life is, and I'm like, okay, like I need to either fix something, or I need to address something, or like this is what I'm learning today, and this is my daily heavy thing that I'm doing. Yep. You know, and it's always something. It's always going to be something, you know, in your day that's happening. You know?
For sure, dude.
And like, so how am I addressing it, and how do I like can I express it this way? You know, almost. You know. Yeah. Because I know that if this is going to help me, it's going to help other people too.
Right, 100%, dude. At the end of the day, and like. Yeah, I mean, so, dude, almost all of my solo material, except for the stuff that I've been writing recently, even, like, listening to the stuff I wrote before I became sober, and then especially, like, reading the lyrics and stuff, I'm like, okay, well, that's a fucking cry for help. Yeah. You know, it was me, like, writing about being stuck in a myriad of, like, cryptic ways. Yeah. And not realizing, like, oh, this is because of, like, this internal battle I had with, like, me drinking and then feeling shitty and this and that. Yeah. You know? But then listening to it afterwards, I'm like, I know exactly what I was writing about. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And, it's crazy, dude. And now I definitely try and do it with more intention, because it's, like... Yeah. Before, it was definitely... Yeah, I would write, like, really callous shit and stuff that was really, like, self-loathing. Right. You know? Yeah. And so then it's like, okay, it's been established internally that I struggle with anxiety and depression and this and that. Mm-hmm. But now I'm writing these songs, and, like, sure, it's a form of cathartic release. Yeah. But then when you're listening to those words over and over and over and over and over again, like you said, it almost does more harm than good.
Yeah, and it's like... We make things like more significant or more precious than it actually is. For sure. And when really you can just throw it away and it's gonna be fine. You know? Yeah. Like, 100%. Like, I'm gonna write all this down, but I'm also gonna burn it. You know?
Yeah. No, that's pretty profound actually. It's like we put so much weight behind our words and like our lyrics and stuff like that. But dude, I have probably 1,000 songs in that laptop that I'll probably never open up and work on again. Yeah. It really isn't precious. You can just dispose of it because it's not like.
And it's also timing, man. Like, I've been writing a lot of letters this week because of a thing that, like, you know, the world and like people and anyway, like I keep trying to write this letter, and like every time I do, I think I nailed it, you know, until like the next day, and then I'm just like, no, do not send this letter right now. Like 6 or 7 times that's happened to me, like in the last week, you know? Yeah. And I'm like, there's no letter to write here, you know? Like, it's so weird, like how, like in my mind, I kept thinking like, oh, this is the solution to this, you know, situation. Right. But it's like, and like I keep like putting all these like heavy words down, and then I'll just like, no, really light words. No, just really nonsensical words. No, just like really like over dramatic. Like, okay, Like, none of these angles work, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There are no angles that do work, you know? Just burn them all, you know?
Right.
And I think that what is interesting is going to be the timing of this, because I'm not going to burn them. I'm going to, like, save them for later, because I do think that they're going to be hilarious later, you know?
Right.
Like, and that's...
Pull them out in, like, a year or so.
Yeah. For sure. Hey, remember when I was telling you about this surprise? Well, nothing ever happened at the time, but something actually did happen, you know?
Dude, yeah. And it's always interesting to go back and read stuff that you wrote a while ago, too.
Yeah.
You know, like, I found a notebook, and it had stuff in it that I wrote probably back in, like, 2009 to 2011.
Yeah.
And I just found that, like, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
You know? And it's, like, stuff, exactly, like, that at one time was so profound to me, and I was so proud of it.
Yeah.
But it just falls to the wayside of just, like, collective waste, and, like...
Yeah.
You come back to it.
Like, sleep on it, man, you know?
Right,
like,
dude.
That's...
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with things a lot lately.
That's really good advice, though, man, because it's like... A lot, I think we as humans make really big decisions, or just do stuff that maybe isn't the wisest for us to do.
Yeah.
When if you would have just taken a little bit more time to, like, rationalize it or think it out, dude, your action would have become more clear, probably.
So to put it even more, like, literally to the point, you know, like, I was writing a short story the other day, and, like, I was a therapist to a person in the story who, I was obviously the person too.
Yeah.
But the way that I was writing that character was that she would, the way she talked was like every sentence had to start with the same letter, okay?
Okay.
And so that was the constraint of her, like, she wanted to be like a unique person in the world.
Right.
She wanted to have a unique personality, and she was sacrificing her own, like, common sense to, like, what the letter dictated almost.
Right.
You know. And I thought that was a really interesting metaphor for the way that we think that we're our own thoughts sometimes, you know?
Yep.
And we're just not, you know?
Not
like,
at all.
Yeah,
They're just
like,
chemical fluxes in our brain.
Right.
Yeah, we exist outside of those, dude. And that's a fucking another crazy thing, dude. It's just like, I started like a mindfulness meditation practice.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And just being able to eventually, like, get a glimpse of that, to see that you are not your thoughts, was like really fucking groundbreaking for me.
It is,
because
man.
you get, you know, and especially when you don't meditate and you get pulled into just the woes and the stress of daily life and being an adult and maintaining a job and living in America with all the bullshit that comes with.
Yeah.
You feel like there's no way out of that. But then if you just take a second to breathe and just accept the fact that, so I read a quote once and it said, I recognize my thoughts, but I choose not to identify with them.
Right.
And so when I realized that you are an identity separate of your thought patterns, dude, it was like really powerful, because then it's like, you know, I was able to break that cycle of constantly thinking bad and like getting down and stuff. And now when that happens, I'll just take a second and I'll center myself and not think about anything, and I'll just let all that come, you know. And I don't try and run from it anymore. I'm just like, okay, this is how I feel right now. I accept that. I'm gonna put a microscope on it and like zoom in on why I'm feeling that way, and just focus on my breath.
And can you do anything about it, or
Fuck
you know,
no.
like, well, and sometimes you can though. Like sometimes the thoughts come up and like they're significant for a reason. You know?
Yeah.
And that's why you're thinking them. You know. And sometimes it's just anxiety though, you know, and you can't really do anything about it except for it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to let that one go. You know, it's like, I see it, I know why I'm worried about it, but there's nothing I can do about it. So, you know, burn it, you know, like,
oh yeah.
But sometimes there is something you can do about it, and you're like, oh yeah, I could probably like call this person and like set that up, and like, you know what, I'm going to invent a whole new band right now.
Yeah, dude.
I yesterday, like, I felt like I've invented a band, you know, like, in my head. Like, I was, like...
Oh, yeah, that'll happen to me sometimes.
Completely excited about it, because I was, like... I'm trying to set up this festival, and I'm like, okay, this band is a little shaky in the set, in the lineup, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm like, how can I reinvent this band? I'm, like, getting a hold of certain people in the band. They don't even know that the band's playing. And I'm like, okay, so, like... what can I do, you know, like, that dude said that I could already be in the band, so I'm like, can I just invent a new band and then invite him to be in it, you know what I mean, like, so, I was like, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna like have like it's gonna be kindergarten, but we're gonna pass out percussion instruments to everybody.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna have like 6 songwriters in the band. We're all gonna take turns with songs.
That's awesome.
And then we're just gonna have breakdowns where we're just playing like triangles and wood blocks and shit.
Dude, yeah, that sounds great.
I know, right? I'm like the show's like a month and a half away. Like we'll have like every song's gonna be a 1-4-5.
Right.
Like old-timey progression, because that was the block that band always filled anyway,
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm just like, like this is gonna be way easier, and like it's gonna include more people that want to be there, and like I don't know, I think that it's gonna be a fun time. I need to organize it.
Hell yeah.
I just thought of it yesterday and got a hold of like a couple people, but
no, I think that's a cool idea, man. I like that a lot.
Calling it Nervous Charlie's Firework Factory.
Hell yeah, dude. That's great.
I named somebody else's band yesterday too.
Yeah, what was it?
The manager's name was No Bones. He runs some shows out in Bellevue.
Okay.
And he's managing a couple guys. Chad Miller and Just Jay have a band together. And Chad Miller, I know, is just known for this one song where he's just like "Get Your Chicken" kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And said No Bones is his manager, so I'm just like, call the band Chicken Bones, man. Like,
I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, hell yeah.
Put him at top of the block,
right? Hell yeah.
Dude, I didn't notice this, but I love this poster, man.
Isn't that great?
I'm totally gonna like zoom in on one of the still shots of this and just like blow it up and put it as part of like the roll on Instagram or something.
Dude, hell yeah! That was from the album "I Love You, Honey Bear" by Father John Misty.
Dude, I knew you were gonna say that too,
Yeah.
and like I didn't even. I don't have that album or anything, but somehow I just knew it was Father John Misty.
Right? Oh yeah, dude. He's like another one of those artists, man. He's just like he's so good.
Yeah.
And that and actually talking about, to circle back to like the storytelling.
Yeah.
I mean, he has this song called "Things That Would Have Been Helpful to Know Before the Revolution."
Okay.
And holy shit, dude! The entire concept of the song is just basically like, the first line is, "It got too hot and so we overthrew the system. Because there's no place for human existence like right here on this bright blue marble orbited by trash. Man, there's no beating that." and so the whole song goes on to talk about how he's living in this, like everything toppled. It was overthrown.
Yeah.
Climate change, we began to tackle it.
Mm-hmm.
But then everybody got really bored. And so the last lines are like, "There are some visionaries among us developing some products in order to help us survive on this godless rock that refuses to die." And so it goes from, the topple of capitalist consumerist society to being bored that you overthrew everything, to then some new visionaries coming up to like rebuild the past because you miss it so much, And it's just like, dude, oh my god, all of his songs are just such great, like, it's such great sarcastic storytelling.
Yeah.
I mean, like Bored in the USA, god, he's a genius, dude.
Yeah, I need to delve down into him some more. I've heard a few things for sure, but it's been a while, and maybe that'll be the substance of folk singer songwriter.
I would definitely check out "I Love You, Honey Bear," and then he did an album after that called "Pure Comedy," and both those two, dude, are like phenomenal. Like every song, it's just some of them. Like there's one called "Leaving L.A." that's like 7.5 minutes. Yeah, and just the detail he goes into the mundane, like ordinary, everyday stuff.
Okay,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a barometer. Like those albums, like I've always, like the way that people talk about him and those albums is always like a barometer for like the time almost,
Exactly. Another dude that does that well is Dave Bazan.
Okay.
I think that's how you say his last name. So he's one of the dudes from Pavement.
Oh, yeah?
Like, when they broke up...
Interesting.
From what I understand, because Pavement was kind of, like, before my time, right? So they were, like, early 90s. I'm 30 now.
Yeah, weren't they, like, just super hardcore, or, like...
I think so, yeah. And the dude, Stephen Malkmus, was in Pavement, and he started his own thing, and then Dave Bazan did. And he has a song called "Cold Beer and Cigarettes."
Okay.
And just the detail that he goes into in this song is just, like, about going to the store to, to buy beer and some cigarettes.
Yeah. And
that it's like a little bit easier to do that if you don't ask the female cashier for her phone number. And it's just like in the detail in that song, man. It's one of the first ones where I kind of like was drawn to that quality of songwriting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, growing up, it was a lot of just, like, pop punk, like Blink-182, new metal, some hip-hop and stuff, but then, like, later, like, within the past decade, I'd say, I grew much more of an appreciation for, like, songs that tell stories.
Yeah.
You know? And, Australian singer-songwriter Courtney Barnett does a fucking amazing job of that.
Yeah.
Like, I saw the CB3, the Courtney Barnett Trio, they played the Nelsonville Music Fest, I think, like, 4 or 5 years ago. It's, like, right after her first album came out.
Okay, yeah.
And there's a track on the album called Avant Gardener.
Okay.
And dude, like, if you haven't heard it, the lyrics, the whole song tells a story. Like,
I already dig it.
Yeah, dude, it's unreal.
Like,
I'm trying to think of some of the lines that she says, dude. I sleep in late, another day. Oh, what a wonder. Oh, what a waste. It's a Monday. You're so mundane. What exciting things will happen today? The yard is full of hard rubbish. It's a mess, and I guess our neighbors must think we run a meth lab. We should amend that. I pull the sheets back. It's 40 degrees. I feel like I'm dying. Life's getting hot in here, so I do some gardening. Anything to take my mind away from where it's supposed to be. The nice lady next door talks of green beds and all the nice things that she wants to plant in them. I want to grow tomatoes on the front porch, grow some sweet corn, bean sprouts, and radishes. I feel proactive. I pull out weeds. All of a sudden, I'm having trouble breathing in. And then the chorus is, I'm having trouble breathing in.
Yeah.
And then the next, and then, like, the next verse, she goes to talk about, what does she say? It's insane. She says, it reminds me of this time I had too much pseudoephedrine and I couldn't sleep at night. Andy's on High Street. Andy looks ambivalent. I bet he wonders what I'm doing getting in an ambulance.
Yeah.
The paramedic thinks I'm clever because I play guitar. I think she's clever because she stops people dying.
Wow.
Yeah, just shit like that, dude. And it's like the whole song, it's like a lazy kind of delivery that just ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
It's a super simple 2-note bass line.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it definitely has, like, she's one of the other artists that, like, recently, you know, like when I saw her live and saw them perform that as a 3-piece, it was honestly like top 4 most captivating experiences of all time, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just so, like, you would love her lyrics for sure.
Nice.
It definitely touches on, like, everything just tells a story, and it's able to make, like, amazing, beautiful stories out of just everyday shit that's not even enjoyable. You know?
Yeah. Like, pulling like, light to something that's, like, kind of obvious, but, like, also obfuscating it at the same time.
Exactly.
And then coming back to the obvious thing, and then it kind of, like, you have that callback, and that kind of hits you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like, the callback with the, like, I think she's clever because she saves your life. It's like,
right.
Dude, like, it was completely obvious if you said it right away, but then, like, to take the detour, and then to come back to it, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like,
that's so awesome.
Yeah. I mean... An obvious lyric influence of mine is Tom Waits, and everybody, man, knows. But, like, man, one thing I learned from the Rain Dogs album, and one thing that he started doing at that time period, I think, is he had themes that went through the entire album. You know, like he had whole words that would show up in multiple songs on the same album.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then also on that Rain Dogs album, he had, like, the way that he not only structured his songs musically, but the way that he, like, almost literally added structural elements to songs in that album was ridiculous. He talked about what was it? God damn, I just had it a second ago. It's like fall out of the window with confetti in my hair. Deal out jacks are better on the blanket by the stairs. You know, I tell you all my secrets, but I lie about my past. Send me off to bed forevermore. Like, the entire, like, way that he's, like, falling out the window and he's, like, on the stairs. Like, he's, like, building a house within the song. And, like, he's building a space for the song to exist as if it's a house.
Yeah, it's so cool.
He does that through the entire album, too. And it's, like, I don't know, I've always thought that was really genius.
Yeah,
you know?
it is, dude, for sure.
Like, just taking structural elements of a house.
And putting it in such great detail.
Yeah. And he's like, he's almost like lamenting partying in the old good times. Because I think that he proclaims to have stopped drinking at the age of 30 or something like around that time period. And he was always known for drinking. The piano's drinking, not me. Like the rug is on the make, or the jukebox. Can't find your waitress with a Geiger counter. All that. Just like kind of completely deflecting from the fact that he's just drinking nonstop, and just like romanticizing it at the same time.
Exactly.
He was always a genius for writing that line in particular.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, Tom Waits is great.
Yeah.
I need to get into more of his stuff because I've always it was one of those, like the first time I listened to him and the first time I listened to like Ministry. And then the same with
that's a jump, man.
Right, it is for sure. And then like Mr. Bungle, but just like with older bands, and not even super older bands.
Right. Yeah.
But I would listen to them and then immediately it's like, oh shit, I see why these bands I like sound the way they do.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because there's such a huge gap of music that I feel like I missed out on.
Yeah.
So my parents are a little bit older. My dad's 75, my mom's 71.
Gotcha.
And so when I grew up, it was pretty much like Allman Brothers, the Beatles, Cream, then like straight to Spice Girls, and then straight to like Blink-182, Third Eye Blind, Limp Bizkit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot that went on in the 80s and 90s.
Fucking dude. Yeah, and so even now when I go back and listen to some stuff and dig on some older stuff, I'm just like, this is so good. Like one of the great resources in just like finding all this old shit that I loved have been like the Nuggets compilations. Dude.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, because then I got like probably like late 2010, 2011, I started getting super fucking into garage rock.
Okay.
Right? So I found out who like Ty Segall and John Dwyer were.
And
then my entire world changed, right?
Yeah.
And so then I dug into like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard and like Australian psych rock.
Yeah.
And then I start hearing like, oh, well, they, this sounds a lot like krautrock. So I'm like, well, what the fuck is that?
Right.
And so then I started getting into Can and listening to like Tago Maga.
Yeah.
And it's just like all this amazing music I would have never found out about had I not gotten into these newer bands first. Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah, I really like that too, like where you can like find the newer bands and find the direct lines backwards.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Like it's almost like you appreciate it more in certain aspects too.
For sure.
Like I was always a big fan of Stevie Winwood, like with Blind Faith and with his stuff with the Spencer Davis group, and then all of his solo stuff, and then like Ty Segall's covering on that Fudge Sandwich album, he covered I'm a Man.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, oh man, I've always wanted to cover that song.
Right.
Like,
it's so sick.
Yeah.
And he's responsible for me getting into T-Rex, dude.
Oh, wow.
Because he did that T-Rex cover album.
Yeah.
And so I heard, like, Fist Heart Mighty Don Dart, and I'm like, this song's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
What? He didn't write this? Who wrote this?
Yeah, exactly.
So then I'm, like, digging on all this old shit, dude.
Man, he covered a Captain Beefheart song on that Lemon Drop album.
Fuck,
or whatever.
yeah, dude.
Like, it took me, like, a few listens to even hear it. That's what it was, too. I'm like, man, I know this song. Like,
they have an album called Trout Mask Replica.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so the reason I know that and the reason that I've heard some of that shit is because of being on like OCs and King Gizzard forums.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, everybody's like, hey, I'm stoned, what should I listen to?
It's such a legendary album for so many reasons.
Dude.
It's like like the way that he just like kidnapped his whole band and put them in that house, and like
it's so cool.
He's like, we're only allowed to leave for groceries. Here's $20. Like, we will survive in this house. Like, we're all prisoners. He like wrote everything on the piano and gave out people's parts to people.
Yeah,
and just,
it's
like,
so crazy.
It's like a dictator approach to being in a band.
Right, dude.
I've heard a lot of weird. Like, I used to be a bigger fan of Beefheart and all that, but like I've heard a lot of weird stories about him being kind of a dick, and it's like I've heard that about a lot of people, and like I know probably being at that level will stress you out and things like that too, but like I don't know, like
how much do you sacrifice in the name of art?
Yeah, exactly.
At what point is it too much? For sure.
Tom Waits said in a song once, he's like, I gave it all up for the stage.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, but what's the cost of doing that?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
I feel that like that ties into two different directions that we could go with this.
Yeah.
The first of which is being a musician and wanting or not wanting to be famous.
Exactly.
The second direction would be in regards to like Beefheart just being kind of a prick.
Yeah.
Do you separate the art from the artist, or do you find it hard to do that?
Exactly.
Which way do you want to go? Do you want to talk about being famous, or do you want to talk about separating the art from the artist?
Yeah, yeah. Because I know you brought up, like, fame earlier before we started, and that's an interesting topic, because depending on what your intention is for your music, you know, like, how is it gonna hit? Why? Like, are you trying to be a broad spectrum, you know, artist, or are you just trying to, like, actually just be therapeutic, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and those are two completely different things. And in one hand, like, if you're being therapeutic and, like, to yourself and to the people around you, you almost have, like, a congregation of sorts at that point, you know?
Sure.
Like, and that's what it turns into. That's like, okay, we're all here trying to help each other. We're all here just, like, trying to learn something and, like, you know, be better people, you know, as a group, you know?
100%.
And if that group gets larger, that's great, because that's more people that want to do that, you know?
Right.
But if it hits, like, a tipping point of, like how much does money come into play? Like, if you have this many people, you need this much money to continue it, and all of this, and then things get dicey, you know?
Dude, 100%. And I think, you know, for the entire time that I've been at least performing live, I've never necessarily wanted to be famous. Now, when I was younger, and when I had, like, first gotten a bass guitar, fuck yeah, I wanted to be famous.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I wanted to play
sure.
in front of tens of thousands of people and jump all over the place.
Exactly.
But then when I think when I realized that, like, see, I don't know, it's weird, man. When I was 18, I was in an indie rock band called 40s.
Okay.
And we got signed to this record label called Rethink Pop Music that was based out of Manhattan.
Yeah.
And so during my senior year of high school, like, we went on tour. We picked up a U-Haul cargo van that was paid for.
Yeah.
We went to New York, and then we drove from New York to Columbus to Nashville to South by Southwest, and we did, like, 5 or 6 shows down there.
Nice.
And so, like, it was a really cool experience to have when I was younger. I got, like, a taste of fame, you know?
Yeah.
But then I just noticed, like, everything kind of fell apart after that.
Yeah.
And, like, I put a lot into, like, okay, like, I think we can, like, making it, right? Or, like, the colloquial term, making it.
Yeah.
And I think now, dude, I'm at a point where it's like, I think the music quality-wise is super good.
Yeah.
But it's never been about trying to get famous off of it. Especially with, like, the newest material that I showed you earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't until, like, I realized that I don't want fame that I was really able to write my best music.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
because it kind of just got to a point where it's like, dude, I have a family that I love.
Yeah.
I have a job that pays well.
Nice.
And so it's like, now it's like, you know, if, you know, say hitting the road is, like, the best way to make it.
Right.
But it's like, dude, so you're on the road all the time.
Yeah.
You know, living in, like, a van.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that would be, like, conducive to maintaining my mental health.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
so it's not, so even taking...
It's hard to keep it together.
100, I would lose my shit, dude.
When you don't have, like, a home base, and you don't have, like, you know...
Dude, 100%. And so then I think about it, and it's like, even if I wanted to be famous, like, I don't think that I could anyways.
Right.
You know what I, like, because I just don't, I think that it would just be too hard. Like, and so it wasn't until I was like, dude, like, I'm lucky to be able to write the music that I write. Yeah. You know, and if one person can listen to, like, the lyrics that I've written and been like, dude, like, thank you, that helped me.
Yeah.
It's so sick, dude. That's all I want. You know? And just like you said, man, it's like a congregation where I just want, like, people to listen to that and know that somebody else is going through what they're going through.
Yeah.
And that it's okay to feel the way that they do, and that there's a better side after all of it. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it's like, I'm not worried about whether that message hits 10 people or 10 million people. You know, just that it hits anybody means I'm fucking doing my job.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because at that point, it's how much is a conversation worth? You know, how much is talking to somebody and being real with somebody worth?
Fuck yeah, dude.
You know, how much is, like, meeting a stranger, like, confessing your guts out and then never seeing him again? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, people do that all the time. Like, it's so interesting the way that we trust, and then the way that, like, the old quote that I always bring up is, like, the way that we, like, one person runs to their neighbor to find themselves, one person runs to their friend to lose themselves, and it's your bad love of yourself that makes solitude a prison to you, man, I don't know, I'm just some dude, right? Like,
that's awesome. But that's so great though, and it's true, man. You know, wow. That's all. Yeah, that's killer.
I kind of ripped off Nietzsche there, but it's, you know, at the same time.
No, but yeah, it is so true though, man.
Yeah, because I've definitely felt that. Like, I wrote that into an old song of mine, you know, a long time ago, so that I would remember it.
Dude, hell yeah. It's like in Eyes of the World by the Strokes. Is your free time to free minds or for falling apart? You know, it's like you have time and you can foster conversations that can truly alter the course of somebody's life just by keeping it real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that's happened to me before. I've been on the receiving end of that, and then other people have been on the receiving end of that. And it's like a switch has to happen in me for that, you know? Because like the song earlier, like there's a big part of me that just wants to fucking do nothing all the time.
Right.
You know, but no growth happens there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I know that wanting that isn't conducive to my growth as a person. So then it's like, okay, well I realize that now I have to make the effort. And as soon as I just make the effort by opening up to somebody or talking to somebody or just being kind to somebody instead of like allowing whatever's going on internally to you know what I mean? It's just like amazing things happen. But you got to be there for the opportunity to take place.
Yeah, you really have to like keep your eyes open. Like, I know last night I was in that exact same spot. I'm just like, man, I really don't want to do anything right now.
Yeah.
You know, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, you know, like, because I always feel like there's some like, do I have free will kind of aspect of like my decision making, you know?
Yeah,
happens,
fucking A, dude.
You know, like I'm like, okay, like I feel like am I at a turning point right now? What is tonight? And then an old friend called me, and then I had an hour-long conversation. You know,
hell yeah, dude.
I'm just like, perfect. Yes,
right.
I feel like that's where I needed to be. That person feels way better now too, and you know, I feel like I've accomplished something. You know, and also, I don't know. I felt like I was very much at the end of some kind of a road last night too. You know? And so at that point, because I kept like, man, I need to work on this album. I need to work on these songs. You know, like. Because there's always that. There's always a million things that you need to work on, you know? But sometimes, sometimes it's just like, it's not the night to do it, you know?
Yeah, 100%, man.
And I gotta, I have to find that in myself that, I'm not being lazy right now, you know? Like, I gotta be okay with, taking a break, you know, from things too, you know?
It's so crucial, and that's something I struggle with as well.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, you know, I'm off work tonight.
Yeah.
I gotta work on music. I have to work on the album, get home, work on the album. But then I just get into a cycle of going to work and then coming home and sitting here for 5 hours.
Right.
And then not getting enough sleep and then waking up and doing it again and not spending enough time with my family and like
Yeah.
And it's just like it's okay to just do nothing.
Yeah.
It's almost necessary to do nothing.
Yes.
For some time.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, I realize that. But then it's so hard for me to be like, okay, I'm going to chill for a little bit and just like relax.
Yeah.
And then just turn the switch back on, you know?
That's true too.
Because it is something.
It has momentum to it.
Well, yeah, because being able to do nothing is an invaluable tool for anybody in order to, you know, balance out your mental or increase productivity.
Yeah, it's like trying to become empty again, you know?
100%, so that you can get filled back up. But then it's like, once I rest, and it's like, fuck, I don't want to do anything. You know? So I have to be mindful of that. And like, I mean, just like, I don't know, the difference between medicine and poison is the dose. You know?
Yeah, that it is. Yeah, it is real crazy. Like, I know that, like, if I find, like, a spark, or if I pick up an instrument and I hit something, and I'm like, usually, when I pick up an instrument for the first time in a day, whatever it is, and I hit something, I'm just like, oh, cool, that, I could use that for something, and then you just start building on top of that, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And that seems to always happen that way. And it's like, it's hard when it's always there, and you're like, I only have so much time in the world to make so much music, you know?
Right.
And like, I only have so much time to make so many things that are like, to quality too. You know, like, because I just spent since November making demos, you know, and it's like nothing really got like to the point where like I can release it necessarily. Some of it I already did just because I'm just like, well, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I really like it, I think it's a little rough, but I like that it's rough, and I like those spots. So cool. Whatever.
Hell yeah.
And I think that I've always been kind of and my philosophy is ever since I don't know, a long time ago when I started making music, was that I knew that computers are going to take over the music industry at some point, and I just want to make music that's as human as possible.
Yeah.
As kind of almost as off the cuff as possible, almost like it's gonna fall off the side of a cliff when I'm driving it too fast.
Right. That's sweet.
But then at the last minute I did save it, and we we kept going, and we are still on the road.
Dude, hell yeah.
But that's always been my favorite methodology to making music too.
For sure.
So in that aspect, I think that the organic nature of what a demo is, and even when I'll buy band albums of demo albums,
Oh, for
and
sure.
those will sometimes be my favorite albums of the band.
Right. Even outside of the studio versions, dude, for sure.
Yeah, because sometimes things get overthought. And you take too long with it, and it's too polished in spots. It's what is the original incarnation of this idea?
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Can I have that? Can you give me that? Yeah.
I feel that for sure. Especially with the band, it's been, I don't know. It's always been different for me trying to process the way I write for Divorce Horse.
Yeah.
And then the way I write with my solo stuff.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of give between the two.
Mm-hmm.
But I try and bear in mind that I don't want to write the same for both, because I want them at the end of the day to be very different projects.
Yeah.
And so it's cool too, because then in Divorce Horse, the other dudes write this stuff with me, and so I'll tend to go for stuff that sounds a little more unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
I guess with them, I don't know, man, but it's just there's definitely stuff I'm drawn to within the Duckii world, I suppose, where I really like clean lines and everything to be precision based and just super spot on.
Yeah.
But we did, our first EP that Divorce Horse did, we recorded directly to tape up at the Akron recording company.
Oh, yeah.
And
cool.
so we did dual tracked my vocals, and it was just completely off the cuff. We did 3 songs.
Yeah.
And so at the time I had a DD6 on my board, or a DD7 delay, and then we ran it through that, and so I would do the oscillating delay shit,
Nice.
Just wasn't even planning on it, and listening back to that stuff, it was just so cool. It's the recordings are rough.
Yeah.
I'm pitchy. It's all over the place, but it's just raw, and you can tell that it was all done in one room, and I fucking love it for that. Dude,
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, having a unique perspective of a recording of any kind of nature, just it I don't know, there's certain characteristics about it,
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, I'm more concerned with the structure of the song. I'm more concerned with where are we changing right here, what's changing right here, how how many times, and that's what I want to be concerned about more often than not, and that's kind of why I've been home recording for a long time,
Yeah.
and it's as long as I set it up and it's pretty good set up, and everything sounds, I can hear it all, I can mix it to be where it needs to be on the first mix.
Right.
That's all I was doing from all winter. I just was okay, I have this day, and I'm gonna write the song, I'm gonna build it, and I'm gonna record it, and then mix it roughly at the end. I'm gonna bounce it down, and that's gonna be the song, and I'm never gonna go back and work on it again.
Hell yeah, dude.
And I was doing that 2 or 3 times a week, and just knocking out full songs that way. Full band arrangement type stuff.
See, and that's really cool, because that's always something that I want to do more of.
Yeah.
The track I played you earlier, Cryptic, I've been working on for 8 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And so now it's at a point where it is done.
Yeah.
But I wrote the initial incantation of that in 2013.
Yeah.
Never released it. I didn't know where to take it. I wasn't happy with it. Then I forgot about it for years.
Yeah.
Pulled it back up in Ableton.
Yeah.
With the deeper knowledge base of shit that I had in regards to mixing and mastering and whatever. I went back and kind of did my thing to it, and then that sparked the creativity. But then there's also times where it's like, dude, yeah, like I want to sit down, like pick this guitar up and come up with like a chord progression, write some lyrics, record it, and be done with it. Like I think that's really cool, and there's something to be said about that, because I think there's something powerful about songs that represent a distinct point in your life. Yeah. You know? And it's like, with technology, it's almost like we're spoiled, because now I can go back and work on anything whenever I want. Yeah. But it's like, if I'm feeling a very certain way in the moment, that might not translate to a song that I spent a year working on, 8 years working on. Yeah. But if you can lock it down in the moment, like you did with the songs you've been working on, I think that's really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's all about the approach, right?
For sure.
I mean, we're so spoiled with the technology we have in a lot of ways, where we can just like take our time on things, whereas like, and then you go back and listen to David Bowie, and you're like, goddamn, like look at these arrangements that, you know, like he had time constraints in the studio, you know, like he put time constraints on himself. He's coming out with an album every year for like, or every other year through the 70s there, and it's just like, wow, like
hell yeah, dude.
It's so wild, man. Like I've been like going back and listening to 5 years for arrangement notes on this new song, and I'm just like, damn, like the way that he used strings and the way that like he built that entire song. Like I cover that song acoustically, so like I knew it was just like you know, one, you know, four chord progression the entire song, right? You know, and so I've been writing this country song called like what's it called, Wizard Haircut or something, right?
Hell yeah.
Like, and I keep getting this vibe of like 5 years in my head, so I'm like, all right, I got to see the arrangement. What's he doing right here? You know, like, can I do this, or can I do something similar to build it? You know,
right? Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm real excited to work on that, and because I just wrote that a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I can't wait to work on that one. I don't know what I was talking about, but what was the deeper idea right there?
Yeah, I don't know. Just I think you know, just being able to appreciate a song written at a very specific point in time.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's another thing too. Like there is a phenomenal electronic producer from Omaha, Nebraska. Shout out Darren Keene.
Cool.
He stayed with me a couple times when he played Canton. He played Buzzbin twice. Yeah. And he's like a phenomenal bass producer. Yeah. And he told me something that really fucking blew my mind, because whenever I did create, especially the electronic stuff, it was fucking all over the place. And what he did was, instead of spending way more time on composition, he would spend anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months just developing a palette.
Yeah,
you know, recording samples, editing the samples, putting those into a drum rack in Ableton, honing in very, very tightly on the bass sounds, the synth sounds, the mallet sounds, the percussive sounds, and then he would knock out the compositions in like a day or two. Yeah. But he would spend a lot of time developing this palette for what he wanted those compositions to sound like. Yeah. So it's almost like when you're getting all the levels right for what you're recording, or if, you know, somebody's getting ready to record to like a 4-track, and making sure that the tone on the acoustic's right and the vocals are EQ'd before it's all glued and printed in there. Yeah. He did very much the same thing, and I never approached like producing electronic music like that. Yeah. It was always very much just what synth am I feeling right now. Right. You know, and it was never, and now it's kind of like, okay, well, this is the guitar part that I'm playing. It has a flanger on it, and it's a clean part. So I don't really want like a super busy, distorted synth. I focus way more on like the palette side of things now. I think that I've been spending more time with it.
Yeah, like textures almost.
Yeah, dude, 100%. And before, it was just like, oh, this preset sounds cool, that preset sounds cool. Yeah. But it never sounded like a full song. It just sounded like a fucking demo for 5 different synths.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's really, I mean, you can jump into the weeds on every aspect of it too, you know, and that's the other part of it. Sometimes and then that's where like kind of like if you're going for a guerrilla kind of style and it just sounds a little distant, sometimes that works, you know.
Fuck yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And then I don't know. I mean, there's a million like post, pre. You know, effects that you can, you know, emulations of amplifiers now.
Yeah, it's insane.
You know?
I mean, and that's all this is. Like, I don't even play through an amp anymore. I play through this thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it emulates, so I'll go out to basically like 2 powered PA speakers. It's called an HX Stomp.
Okay.
And so then you can use what are called impulse responses. Yeah. So I use 2 of them. And basically what it is like a mathematical EQ curve of a V30 speaker
Yeah.
being mic'd with a 57 1 foot away from the cone with this EQ applied to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the same can be said for like all the amps in there. Like right now I'm using an Orange Rocker Verb Mark II simulation.
Okay.
And so I have it set up so there's like low gain, medium gain, high gain.
Yeah.
You know, but you can really, you fucking nailed it, dude. You can jump into the weeds with as much of this as you want. And I think it's like, it's taken me a long time to learn that it's like, you don't need to do that for every single thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you write good songs, the song's going to be good whether you spent 1,000 hours on the production aspect of it or you recorded it in one take on a 4-track.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. What's the essence of it? And
100%.
How do you boil it down? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the fun of it, too, is, like, if you really want to jump into it and make a huge production, like, that's also amazing, though. You know? Like, or maybe it's more amazing. You know? Like, depends on what you're really looking for, what you're going for, and like, you know, what you want to do, you know? It's just completely open. The field, like, I don't know, like, and that's, I guess that just, in life in general, like, you're making choices, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, well, really, what do you want your life to be like? Do you want your life to just be whatever happens? Or do you really want to, like, set some things up, you know?
Zoom more in on like what you actually want to do and what you want to accomplish and goals and stuff.
Yeah,
and that's what's crazy too, is that even just with making music or in living life, like there is no right way.
No.
You know, anybody who tells you that's full of shit.
Exactly.
Hell yeah, man.
And yeah, like over the winter, my main focus was like, how do I play drums?
Yeah. Oh, I feel that, dude. Yeah.
And then so like arranging that, and like just trying to find like the patterns and arrangements to do that. And then I was like, well, how do I put synths in this now?
Oh yeah, man.
You know, like all the things in that and what that entails.
I think playing drums by far the hardest thing for me. Like, playing it and then learning then how to like program it or use like a beat pad, you know? Because I play guitar right-handed, but I throw and I write left-handed. Mm-hmm. And so like I always play drums left-handed, so like my left hand's on the hi-hat.
Gotcha.
But then doing fills is really hard, or like hitting the crash or going to the ride's really hard.
Yeah.
So then I kind of had to rethink that. Or like even on certain songs when I'm making it and I want it to have more of a human feel.
Yeah.
I'm so used to just making these beats that are fucking crazy. So there's 16th notes hi-hats. You know, there's a ride on the 8, and then there's like a crash. But like humans don't have 4 arms.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So I try and take that shit into account too now. Like when I'm making drum parts and stuff like that.
Yeah, like how many drummers do we have here?
Right, dude.
Yeah, like what is a human way to do this?
Right.
You
right.
know? Yeah, like, what's common sense? I heard someone say the other day, it's like, man, if you hang around a bunch of, like, older people, man, and, like, listen to them, and, like, really take in what they're saying, just the way that they talk about eating food will teach you a million things in common sense.
Yeah.
That, like, you know, like, we're so wrapped up in, like, what is this YouTube video gonna say, or what's this TikTok gonna say,
right.
of, like... It's like, here's advice, here's therapy, here is, you know, whatever that you need at any time is always there. But then you just, like, hang out with, like, your grandparents or, you know, like, somebody that you don't know who's just, like, you know, I just, like, drove up and gave a $5 bill to this guy who's in a wheelchair and he's just telling me the story, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, that is a condensed version of like life right there.
For sure. 100%.
I mean, that's you like somebody who's talking, who's been on the planet for that long, like they boiled everything down a long time ago.
Yeah, dude,
you know?
For sure.
And you can pull a lot just from their manner, their mannerisms. You know, like are they just a happy person all the time? Are they just like really like just spiteful and will just bite you, you know, like for no reason, you know, like where does that come from, you know, like and you listen to them long enough, you'll find out, you know, because you know people don't hold no bones at that point either.
Oh,
you know?
For sure. Yeah, there is a lot to glean from just listening to people that have more years on this earth than us talk.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a level of just appreciation for that, and then a level of common sense that can be gained that, like, watching no amount of self-help TikToks will get you. You know? Yeah,
and then I think that the sweet spot then maybe is like both, you know, like, okay, like I learned a little bit about Taoism and water today, you know, like, that's great.
Right.
It's like, okay, but this guy's saying this, and, like, it's somewhere in between here, you know, like, I've been hung up on the whole free will thing the last few months, you know. Like,
dude, fucking A, man. Yeah, I was listening to Sam Harris talk about, like, determinism.
Okay, yeah.
And it's, yeah, I mean, if you were to put us in this exact same situation a million times, would the conversation ever go differently than it has?
Right.
Yeah, it's weird to think about. I mean, are we really just like, and it I don't know, when I first was thinking about it, it kind of had, like, left a bad taste in my mouth, but really it all just makes sense. You know, we're not like, are we a slave to these parameters? Yeah, sure, maybe. but I mean, it's...
Yeah.
Is there really any other way, though? I mean, with the current chemical balance that I have in my brain, you know, and the external stimuli that I'm receiving due to, like, my pedal board and this conversation and the lights... Would this soliloquy be any different if every single variable was replicated? No, I don't think so. Because logically, I just don't think it. You know what I mean? Like, I think what has to happen is what is happening right now, because every other variable, like, neurochemically, has made it so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm learning stuff. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
right, man. And
that's what it's about, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just another point of view to consider.
I'm getting out of my own box. I'm coming over here, you know, driving over here, sitting on your couch, and, like, we're just having it out, you know?
Dude, for sure.
And, like, was I always going to do that? Probably, you know? Like,
yeah, man.
I know a lot of my friends and musicians that, like you were saying earlier about, like, oh man, we, like, early on we played, like, these big shows and kind of got that taste of it. Man, I've never really gotten that taste of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I've always been, like, striving just to do that in a way at some point.
I feel it for sure.
Like, I had this amazing band back in, like, from 2008 to about 12-ish, you know? We wrote, like, 30 songs, and they were all, like, punk progressive, and it was just super weird. And I've been thinking about it. I just talked to that drummer on Friday night, and we were like, hey, come over and jam, and he's like, all right, cool. But,
hell yeah.
But we broke up in 12, and then, but, like, he never wanted to play shows. I want to play shows, you know what I mean?
Right.
And, like, I want to play big shows, and, like, that's always what I wanted to do.
Dude, hell yeah.
And, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, that, just that in my, I guess it would be a personality trait, or just, like, an experience, or, like, something in my soul, or some kind of direction, thing that, like makes me want to, like, get out and travel and just see people.
Yeah,
and
100%,
like,
dude.
You know? And that's, I mean, that, like, you were asking me why I did this podcast earlier, and I think I've been calling it Grandpa's Travelogue, because I'm just like, I want to be on the road. I want to, you know, see a lot of people.
Dude, yeah.
You know, I want to see all the interesting people. I have questions for all of them, you know?
Right. Well, and that's something that's interesting, too, is that, like, the large amount of time that I've spent on this earth, it's been relatively local to this small corner of the world.
Exactly.
And there's so much out there. And so, I think it's really cool that, like, you're making that effort to expose yourself to these situations you haven't been in these new parts of the world.
Yeah.
Because, that is a weird thing, because it's like there's so much culture out there, and there are so many other ways to live, and there's so many other just new and interesting experiences, and I wonder if maybe I'm just not drawn to that because I find comfort in what is known to me, whereas you might find the excitement in what is unknown to you.
Yeah, and I mean, it pulls both ways.
Hell yeah,
you know, like I definitely, I was down in Carolina for like a week, and then I was like, you know, I'm gonna go home. You know, like, this has been awesome. You guys are great. I love you guys, but I'm just gonna, like, go home for a while and sleep for a minute.
Right, dude. I feel that for sure. Yeah, it's like, it's nice getting out and doing new things. You know, like we went on vacation in 2009. We went to visit Mario, my girlfriend's aunt. She is a professor at a university in Philly. Okay. But she was taking classes in Manhattan at the time. So we went to Midtown for like a day.
Yeah.
And then we went to like New Haven and Milford, Connecticut.
Okay.
And then we went to Philly. And it was like amazing. I got to see Long Island Sound for the first time. I got to do a bunch of really cool stuff. But dude, holy shit! Like, and I thought we went for a week, right?
Yeah.
And dude, towards the end of the time, like our last day in Philly before we drove home, I was so homesick.
Yeah.
I was so homesick.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's just weird. I mean, it's like absence does make the heart grow fonder, but why is that?
Right.
You know,
right.
it's crazy, man. Because I guess maybe when you spend so much time here, it's like part of you fills that space. Because I never would have thought, like, that was the first time, you know, so I would have been 28, and that was the first time I was like, holy shit, like, I want to go home, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, this is cool and all, but fuck. And it's just a weird feeling, man.
And so, I have a couple things to say about that. First, everything is like a wave, right? Like, there's that, like, up here, and then you come back down, and you're like, oh, but I want back up here again. You know?
Right. It's
always like that. But what I was also going to say is that, like, what's interesting about, like, traveling in general, and then also there's the same, everywhere you go, you're going to find the same people, you know, to an extent. There's, like, let's say that there's, like, 144 people here or something, and, like, you're going to find the same people in every direction,
right.
You know? Because I've met what I feel like is the exact same people in multiple cities.
Oh, yeah,
know?
dude, for sure.
And it's like, it's so wild to, like, just know, like, especially, like, I was, like, at an open mic one night, and, like, this guy, and I'm just like, I know you, and also you're asking to play with me right now, and I'm like, all right, here's a song that I play with my dude, because I know you're the exact same guy, and you taught me this song, but it was him.
Right.
And he's like, oh, I can play that. I'm like, I know, because you taught it to me. Yeah. And it was so weird.
Yeah,
you know?
That is crazy, dude. I've had that happen just a couple of times, but it's like mind-blowing. Everything down to, like, the mannerism.
Yeah.
Like, you are that person 100%.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. It really is, man. Like, and once you... I don't know, because I think that there's only, like, a certain number of experiences. Like, we only like, we live for a short amount of time, but also, like, it's long enough that you're going to have a certain set of experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
For sure.
Like, and we're all going to kind of do the same thing, you know? But, I mean, we're all obviously we're all drastically different, but if I'm saying something, you're going to relate to it. And it's like, okay, so we're not that different. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, we all feel very different, but
yeah, it's like it's the typical, like, individualism versus collectivism.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, like, I'm painting with super broad strokes, but it's like, yeah, I mean, everybody, and I don't want to say everybody, but at least speaking for myself, there was definitely that time in my life where it's like, no, I'm different. I want people to know I'm different.
Yeah.
And I'm different for these reasons or whatever.
Yeah.
But then it's like, no, dude, I'm really not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially it's like, no, like when I learn of just everything that, like, people of color have to go through, that women have to go through.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm just another, like, white dude.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, a lot of my experience on this earth has been far better solely for those two facts, that I'm white and that I'm a dude.
Right.
And not to bring all that into it, but it definitely made me realize, like, no, dude, like, this is not an individual experience. I'm not special. Like, there's nothing really, you know what I mean? It just makes it easier to relate to people when I kind of keep that in my mind, because I feel like when the individualism taken too far, your ego gets out of hand.
Yeah.
And then it's like you lose any chance you might have had with connecting people in the first place.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's just like, I think it's easier for me to tap into the fact that I have so much fucking more in common with everybody I meet than, like, you would be led on to believe.
Then you have differences.
Yeah,
you know?
man. It's like if everybody just realized we are all so much more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
That's really it, because there is a finite number of experiences you as a human being in the 21st century can go through.
Yeah.
You know, and sure, everybody comes from different backgrounds and everybody experiences different things, but for every different situation that somebody could experience, it's gonna evoke a limited number of emotions from you.
Yeah.
You know?
And then there's certain players in the play that are going to do this every time, you know? Like, I'm sure that's, like, how Aristotle wrote plays. He just started seeing the patterns and things, you know?
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Or Shakespeare, or whoever is
that
writing
makes sense.
these things.
Yeah.
Like, because I know that, like, I'm talking on the phone to this girl, and she's like, oh, well, dude's reacting this way, and I'm like, I kind of figured he would. You know, like, obviously, like, why did you not think that? Okay, yeah.
Right.
You know, like,
Right.
But, or people are just, like, trying to create drama or things like that. I'm like, okay, I've seen this before, and you're gonna do this, and you did. And now I'm over here, because I'm not part of this anymore,
yeah,
you know, or whatever.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's so much nicer to have, like, that's what's nice about age, I guess, is that you just see those patterns playing out so many times that you're just like...
You know what to avoid and what to go closer to.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
I remember, like, I've been throwing this festival. This will be the 10th festival I've thrown in September.
Jubilee?
Yeah, Jubilee Go.
Hell yeah, dude.
And, man, it's been a road. It's been a road. Like, trying to keep something together for that long is
it's
wild.
gnarly. It's a decade, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's the 10th festival over 9 years. Okay, because I threw a couple other festivals in there, too.
Right on.
But, like, at the same time... It is. I mean, better part of a decade than,
dude.
like...
9/10.
Yeah, exactly. And I just remember, like, maybe I was, like, 2 or 3 years into it, and I went out to Portland for, like, a month in the summertime and was just busking around and, like, you know, having a good time with it. And I remember I was, like, staying in this house with this band that I just met, you know, like... And they're like, yeah, we threw this festival, and it lasted 4 years, and then everything got weird, everyone's relationships got weird, and then it just all got strained, and then we all hated each other, and then it just all broke apart. And I was like, okay, cool. And, like, I took that one piece of information and just, like, held on to it, you know? Because I'm like, okay, this is not just trying to put music together. This is, like... politics. This is interpersonal relationships.
100%.
How does a group function? You know, like what is island politics? You know, everyone in this is in this together, and then as soon as something gets super real between it, that affects everyone in the group. Yeah, you know what I mean. And so I've always thought that, and I've not been perfect on it, but like I've been good enough to keep it together this long.
Dude, hell yeah.
You know. And yeah, it's just, man, I mean, it's been a blast, and it's been a blessing, and the friendships I have now are just like, we're always gonna know each other now.
Yeah,
you know?
hell yeah, dude.
And that's what I love about music, is just like it just forms pockets of people, you know.
Yeah, I mean, here we are 7 years later having this conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
It's crazy, man. I mean, just people that I've met playing shows, I'll always remember.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's really, it has, and I could only imagine, like, throwing a festival for the better part of a decade, dude, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, especially for making something run that long, there's always going to be, like, when working with that many moving parts, there's always going to be some level of sacrifice that's necessary in order to make it happen, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome, though, man, because I feel like that's no easy feat.
No.
You know? Like, I've never even, I mean, I've, like, booked shows at local venues, but never a fucking festival.
Yeah.
You know? With, like, vendors and, like,
Yeah.
No, fuck no.
And, like, everyone, like, you are, like, the main director and the person, like...
So you field everything.
The handler, you know, of artists.
Right.
But luckily enough, it's been an amazing group of people to work with.
Hell
and, like,
yeah, dude.
And I just want to be there for them. And, like the whole task of throwing a festival, I've not always enjoyed, you know.
Right.
But it's always the people that brings you back. It's like, hey man, are you doing this? Are you like, we're really pumped. We're really psyched this year. We want to do this.
Dude, hell
it's
yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. Like, and then inevitably my September and August just get deleted, you know, annihilated as far as my creativity goes, and like. Which is frustrating in aspects, you know.
Yeah, I feel that for sure, dude.
You know, but it's always worth it in the end, in different ways.
Yeah, I feel that.
Because you just need those people in your life too. You know?
100%.
Yeah. But the bigger projects, man, that take years of time, you lose the momentum on, and then you're just like, man, like I really like wanted to do that. You know?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I feel it, man. I feel that for sure.
Yeah, but. Yeah, but I like the aspect that we're doing this year. We're only doing one day, and we're just cutting everything out that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
You know, because like, is it gonna happen? Are we just gonna be locked down by the end of September at this point?
Right. It's so hard to say,
it's
dude.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So we all knew coming into this, and no one's trying real hard at it, like other years, you know, where it's like, which is way less stressful, and like everyone's still happy. So it's like, all right, maybe we'll just do it this way for now on.
Hell yeah, dude,
like, less
stress.
Yeah, exactly. Just put it on autopilot, and whenever I'm just gonna, I've been trying to like get footholds in other cities now where I'm like just figuring out, I'm like, okay, it's like $200 round trip for gas to get to Denver and back. Like, how many people in Denver can I meet up with when I'm there for how long a time and not have to pay for a room and board? You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Like, that's gonna be the fun trick to kind of jump around, you know?
Hell yeah.
And then every time you do that, you're going to meet X number of people.
More people.
Exactly.
And then the net just widens.
Yes.
Hell yeah,
yes. Dude. And that's the game that I'm just starting, because the first interview I did was at the end of January.
Okay.
You know? And I've done maybe around 30 so far, you know?
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope, dude.
The first like 4 out of the 5 that I did not release, because I'm like, those were the practice ones. I'll just give myself, I'll just give those to me, like
right.
Like I had notes and questions that didn't really make any sense for the thing, and then after I was out of questions, I was like, what do you think the universe is made out of, or just like super nonsensical shit,
right.
Like. Now I'm like, okay, how do I make a conversation work, and like, how do I direct it, and like, because like even in this conversation, I could feel like we're at the end of it. No one's listening now, but like, there was like a point where like we were talking about music for a long time, and I could feel it. Like, I'm like, I don't want to talk about music anymore. I can feel him not wanting to talk about it anymore.
Right.
Like, let's talk about old people. Let's talk about like
veer off a little bit for sure. For sure.
Because everything's everything to a point, but then yeah.
I feel it. And it's hard for me. Like, because a lot of the times when I do these, all I talk about is music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's like my safeguard. It's like, oh, I'll just go back to that.
Yeah.
I'll just go back to that. But there's like a whole topic of conversations we can talk about.
Exactly.
For sure, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, music's like the fallback. It's like oh, I feel safe here.
And we're both musicians, so I knew it was going to happen. I was kind of expecting that anyway, So like, I just wanted to lean into it a little bit too. Because like I want to hear your perspective on it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I have many. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. What do you think? Going back to just organizing a festival.
Yeah. Right.
I have to assume that like prior to you doing that, there's probably some skills you needed that you didn't have to start with.
Yeah.
So like in doing this for 9 years, what do you think like surprised you the most in terms of maybe something you found out you were really good at that you didn't know prior to doing this?
Yeah.
And like B, what do you think the hardest thing of doing it is?
I would say that the actually like talking to people and organizing people and sending messages like nonstop, like I'm really good at that. Like I've always been like a writer at heart.
Hell yeah.
Like I've always felt like music was always the vehicle for me to write,
Right on.
Like I've always been a writer first. And so I've always really enjoyed like saying weird shit on text messages and like, like how do I get this person hooked? How do I like bring these people in on it and all this? And so that was really fun. The hardest part is always tickets and gates and like
the monetary aspect.
Yeah, well, not just that, but like also like like how do we build a physical gate to keep people in and out,
right,
because I really don't like that.
Yeah, I feel
like that there's something in my heart that just feels very wrong that's happening,
like locking animals in a cage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, this is the area that the festival's in and all you guys aren't in it, it's like,
right,
man, that's just so weird. And like I'm like, I want you to be here, like how do I just make this easier for everyone, and
right.
But also, how do I make money to run the festival?
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I hate money a lot.
I feel that for sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure that has to be fucking hard because you need money in order to pay the artists, in order to like rent the spot out, sound systems, etc. You have a solar powered sound system.
We did at one point.
That's badass. I don't know why that just popped into my mind. That's really cool, dude.
We did that at the Energy Bash. Okay. We set up a couple. There were a couple mobile solar generators, right?
That's sick.
And they both had like battery packs and like I think they were like 500 watts a piece, so we had like 1,000 watts total.
Hell yeah!
And it was like enough to do like the folk bands and things,
right.
you know. But then like the dude who owned the sound system got real nervous about running iffy power on the system for a whole band, you know. So there's that aspect of it too.
Yeah.
But I mean that's completely possible.
Right. That's dope.
I forget it. I was gonna say something else too, but yeah, like the solar power stuff is really cool. I've always been deeply involved in that. My dad was building like electric cars in the garage like since I was like 5 years old.
Dude, that's sweet. Yeah.
And he's like, here's a solar panel. It's like this big, and it's on the back of the trunk, and it's like that one helps power, charge up the main 12 volt that runs your radio.
Dude, hell yeah.
I'm really like, cool. Wow, I'm 5 years old. This is crazy.
Right. Like, yeah. Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see like more festivals going towards like a carbon neutral operative, dude.
Yes.
That'd be really sweet.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, because I was like, the first like formative festival experience I had was probably when I went to Bonnaroo in 2012.
Okay. Yeah.
I went in 2012 and 2013.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I went somewhere like camped. You know what I mean? And it was awesome. But then looking back at it, it's like, dude, there were 90,000 people there.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrible for the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been thinking, like, I mean, I don't deny, like, global warming or anything like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there was definitely a time where I was super ignorant as to, like, just my relentless use of single-use plastics. My carbon footprint. Just, like, all of that, dude.
It's so easy to do because the whole thing's set up that way.
Yeah.
Like, it's not set up for you to even think about.
Right.
It's not like they're even giving you a choice. They're like, oh, well, you can do this or you can do this one, and it's bad. But it's like, it's just do the bad thing, man. That's all we got.
Right.
There's not even like a distinguishing like mark. You know?
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
If anything, they're gonna make it more attractive because there's more money to be made in it.
Yeah.
And those guys will just advertise the shit out of it, make the pack, like hire the best graphic designers.
Yeah.
Like, how can we make, Google seem cuter? How can we make Ford seem, bigger? Or just more, like, oh, we're just your neighbor next door.
Right.
Kind of shit. And
right.
It's like, man, it just sucks you in,
It does, 100%, dude. Yeah, until you don't even realize that, like, what you're doing is fucking wrong. Yeah. Or when you realize, like, you can take steps, you can, like, recycle, you can stop using single-use plastics.
Yeah.
But then you still have these corporations that are responsible for the majority of all of the global warming, and they're not doing a goddamn thing.
Nope.
They put the onus on their customers, but it's like, dude, we all stopped using single-use plastics, and we're still fucked.
Yeah. There's, like, a giant monster in town, and we're just, like, flicking it. And it's like, there's, like, good luck,
Dude, that's
like,
exactly it, yeah.
Like, I'm doing my part. Come on, everybody else.
Right.
Like, where are we at?
In unison.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sad in that way, man. Like I've been thinking about it a lot. Like, it's so painful. It's so painful to think about too, Because we're just it's like we're like ripping out our own lungs every day, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just, oh man. I grew up with asthma as a child, like I had it as a kid and all that, and I know how it is not to breathe,
Right.
And I go back to that a lot,
Dude, for sure.
It's weird how like your weaknesses will make you the strongest person that you are, though, too, in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
And that's what we got to do. We got to like figure out on a global scale, like. And it sounds hokey. I know that, like, I was listening to a guy this morning talking about, like, if we can all think in a direction that will get us out of this, that's where we're going to go,
Yeah.
And the more people out there that are thinking in that direction, and, like, even if I just see, like, somebody post just, like, one word about it, like, hey, we should stop logging, I'm like, yeah, we should stop logging, Like, I feel that, like, I was wanting to grow bamboo earlier this year, like, what are hemp plastics, what are hemp renewable, like, things that we can implement, like, to get rid of styrofoam, or
exactly, yeah.
You know, there's so many solutions that we could do, as long as we're all just thinking about it and we're wanting to do it more, you know.
Right.
Then that creates a market, you know. As corrosive as capitalism is, that's still where we are.
Exactly, it's the system we operate under.
Yeah, and but it's definitely not a human first system.
Oh, by no means.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem. As long as we can all start thinking like, okay, well, how do we take care of people first? Like, how do we like, and that goes back to the whole fame argument, you know, like rich. Like, how do I become rich? You know, like so many like articles on Medium.com, or you know, so many different hustle culture type of people.
Yeah, dude.
Are just at you being like, man, you could be rich though. You could
right,
get it.
Right.
You could really get it.
I was like, making $1,000 a month, and now I'm making like $2,600 a month.
every minute.
I just followed these 3 simple steps.
Yeah, like
yeah, fucking relentless. Dude.
Yeah, and it's like I don't want to even do that. And, like, I think that's probably the reason why everything is going to shit, you know?
Yeah.
At the same time. It's just, like, this pie-in-the-sky dreams of being, like, a superhuman being or something that doesn't really exist. And you really have to go inside yourself to find the thing, you know?
Hell yeah, dude.
And that's where we're at. It's like... I'm all out of coffee. But... yeah, man. Yeah, we need to do that. We should all do that.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah, I think that completely, like, I just agree with, I completely, like, it's, the old, like, the really shortcut version to the story of, like, the businessman from New York who goes down to vacation, like, on the bayou or something, sees the guy fishing, you know, fills up his hole. He's like, man, you could like completely capitalize on this and just get a bunch of boats, you know, you could sell, you could put up distribution in like every major city, create a whole network. It's like, well, how much time would that take to do that?
Right,
you know, like,
right.
Why would I want to spend my life doing that? You know, like
exactly.
Like people do that, and like so many people are doing that, and they don't even realize that they're just wasting all of their precious moments. Like there's more people here than just you, man. You know, like we all could just do our own part and it would work, you know?
Yeah, hell yeah.
We don't have to have mass manufacturing. We don't have to have factories, you know?
Exactly.
Like why? Like why are we trying to try so, like we're just trying too hard to do something that's like already just easy to do.
Right.
You know? Yeah. But that's where we're at. That's what we need. That's the thing that we need to do.
Yeah, it really is. So I think if more of us just like start thinking that way, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or to even just have these conversations.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's what I feel like I've always done over different telephones to really close friends over many years, and like I didn't know I was doing it at the time, but it was always like the conversation would always, like, you know, 20 years ago, the conversation would get to the point where it's just like, man, I think we figured out the whole universe right now. It's like,
right.
Cool, all right, well, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's just what that's always what happens, you know?
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think in order to change, we have to realize that, like, collectively, we don't really have shit figured out. No. You know, we've sort of evolved in a very, very, very specific way.
Yeah.
And because we couldn't have evolved in a different way, we think that this is the best way.
Yes.
And it's clearly not, because it's reaping terrible harm to, like, the people that live here as well as the fucking rock that we inhabit.
Well, it used to be the best way.
Yeah.
It was continual growth is an amazing way to run an economy, and also an amazing way that a biological evolution works best.
Right.
You know, and it did, and it worked best. It was best, and that's why we're in this predicament.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in essence, like, it was the best way to do it forever, and now it's not, because everything has its ebbs and flows.
Right.
Right. And yeah, like no one wants to hear the same song that many times. I get tired, I'm gonna change the radio station, you know? Yeah. It's like, it's a really simple change. But like, how do you, like, culture isn't gonna help us there, tradition isn't gonna help us there, you know, all of these things that keep us comfortable from having to change. Right,
they're not gonna help us now.
No.
Exactly. And we, as a creature, hate change.
Exactly, you know? and that seems to be the only constant.
Exactly.
And therefore, it's like, oh man, I really don't want to do this, but I guess like we're doing this now. You know, like in 5 years, there's not going to be a gasoline powered car being sold.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. It's just not going to happen. Because you have 37 moving parts on an electric car, and you have like 900 and something moving parts on a gasoline-powered car.
Yeah.
It's like, just to fix it. Right. You know, like, where are you guys at? Like, acceleration? No. Like, you're buying gas every day? Like, what? Like, I could plug my car in and fill it up for way cheaper than a tank of gas right now.
Yeah.
Like, even an efficient, like, hybrid vehicle, you know?
Yeah.
Don't have nothing on it, you know?
Right.
What we need to do, obviously, though, is, like, what are our power sources for the grid? And, like, the overarchingly, like, the big power sources that we're doing, the big clean energy sources. Mm-hmm. You know, what is a storage system that isn't a battery? You know, we can dig a huge hole in the ground and then like use tons of solar power to pump water into that hole to push up a giant piston, and that's all potential energy.
Yeah.
You know, like natural uses of like gravity and potential energy in nature, we can use that. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be a chemical storage thing. It can be, like, actual just using the forces of, you know, like, our surrounding. Like, why aren't we doing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of answers out there that just aren't being utilized, and, like, I don't see a lot of people talking about them, honestly. Right. Some people are. Some people, like, are really vocal about it, you know? But, It's been a long everyone was like, oh, we're always 50 years away from fusion, you know, and that was like the silver bullet for a long time, but is it gonna be now, you know, like that's all up in the air. Solar panels aren't the silver bullet because they produce toxic chemicals when you build them, you know.
Really?
A little bit. I mean, it's solar panels are on the whole way better than just burning coal,
right?
You know, but there's still like, you know, this, like, the graph is like, well, this much harm or this much harm. And it's like,
yeah,
it's still harm.
Right, it's still harm. It's a lesser amount. But
yeah, exactly. And, like, you know, I love solar panels. I love using them, you know, sure. Like, but it is still a thing. And you got wind, you got waves, you got geothermal. It's like our entire center of our Earth is like molten core, you know? We're just like we always forget we're just riding on, like, little boats on top of like this sea of magma, you know?
Right. Yeah, that is crazy.
It's like, oh yeah, okay, like we're floating on a planet and we're on a sea of lava.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, like we're just like on that tiny speck of, you know, like land that's like even inhabitable.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And we completely take that for granted.
Dude, we really do. It's insane. Mm-hmm. The fact that we're even here at all.
Yeah.
And we're not so quick to like, oh shit, we're hurting the only habitable place for our species. Like, let's change. And everybody's like, no. Yeah. But, I mean, it makes complete sense, though. Because humans never changed this quick in human history. Right. You know, like, in 1200, you know, like, AD or whatever, like, like, in 1300 AD, nothing changed. Nothing changed. Right. 1,000 years go by. Like, I'm gonna, like, my grandparents are gonna tell me the same thing that your grandparents told you, you know, or like, or their grandparents told them, or whatever, you know, like, and that's how we change, very, very slowly for, you know, about 4 or 5 million years, you know, and now we're like, we have to stay alive we just have to stay alive to make more of us. That's all we got to do. Yeah. And sugar is amazing. Like anytime I find sugar, I'm going to eat all of it, you know? Dude, yeah.
It's like none of those things work now.
We really have progressed like far past, I mean, just with the advent of technology, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no one's supposed to bear the weight of, like, 7 billion people's bad news on their shoulders, yet we do it every day.
Yeah.
That we log on to Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. And it's like, at this point, I mean, I'm helpless to it, you know? Yeah. I'll take breaks from it and stuff, but I always go back to it.
Yeah.
And I recognize that it doesn't do me any good. I feel like I have to maintain a presence because I'm a musician.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, dude.
And then who's not in that boat now, too, though?
Fucking A, dude.
You know, because it's like, well, I gotta be on there because of XYZ. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah. You know, it's like, it's this whole mass communication thing. Now, here's a really crazy idea. Do you wanna indulge me on this one real quick? So there's technology like that, like obviously the technological evolution that we're a trajectory on we're now, you know, like how do we make things that are more like directed towards humanity and not towards money, right? And all of that, but then also there's technologies now that are just really scary, but that also might help a lot as far as like
Neuralink.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, like it's fucking invasive, but it could help a paraplegic walk again.
That's true. Yeah. And so many of these, like, you know, physical manifestations of like what brain and neuro, like the nervous system and how that functions. But on a higher level, what does it mean to connect telepathically with somebody?
Right.
What does it mean, like, one-on-one? And then what does it mean to have a connection between 5 people? You know, like, what does it mean if we're thinking the same thought as 10 people at the same time?
That is crazy to think about.
You know, they did an experiment, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, with like Rhesus monkeys, like, and they were able to like connect 3 of them together so that they like actually had a smarter solution to a problem than if they were just individuals.
Yeah.
You know?
That is gnarly, dude.
Yeah. And if, like what we were saying earlier holds true, like, let's say, like, oh, well, we just got to get everyone thinking on the same plane. What if everyone actually was thinking physically on the same plane? Yeah. That is gnarly, like, for a couple reasons. So that would have to be dictated, like, if something like that comes to fruition in our lifetime, which it probably will. I mean, within, like, the next 10 to 15 years, it might see widespread application. You know? So it's like then, okay, who is the governing body for dictating what you can and cannot do with it? And are their motives pure, and do we trust them? Because at the end of the day, if I can go to a store or, like, go to somewhere and have, like, the Neuralink implanted, right? Then it's like proprietary. Exactly. At that point, exactly, dude. And so it's like, sure, like, it's just a tool. I'm gonna hit the agree button, and then they're just gonna like download all my memories. Right. You know? I really should have read the terms and conditions on that one, dude. I'm living in this Groundhog's Day simulation, and the same day keeps happening every day now. Yeah. There's a bug in the system. Right. It's just it is insane, dude. Because I think the potential for it to do good is immense. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. It's just like, it's almost like something with that, though. It's like when you have to input some measure of control over it. Yeah. When does that control stop? And it also, if you are experiencing a consciousness like we are, if that consciousness is just a thread of a larger whole, right? Then is there a higher kind of boundary that can't be controlled by proprietary humans or corporations or things like that? Right. Like, is it a thing that, like, kind of holds precedence over just our actual condition of consciousness, you know? Like, that's what I'm hoping. Yeah. That's really, like, the best case scenario. Right. You know, where there's, like, everybody gets on there and connects. You have 1 million people connect brains together, and then you see this larger consciousness unfold, and a more perfect understanding happens. You know, like, let's say if you're just tripping on acid, your whole brain lights up, and you sometimes get crosses between your smell and your taste and your vision, and you think about things and you problem solve in different ways. What if that brain got a whole lot bigger and everyone's on acid at the same time, or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you're experiencing an entirely different kind of consciousness at that point.
100%, dude.
And
that is insane to think about. Yeah. You could, like, develop a much better understanding of the collective unconscious.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's fucking crazy. See, I hadn't even considered that aspect of it because I know, like, relatively little about it.
Yeah.
But that's nuts to think about, dude. And then have, like, a brain scan while that happens.
Right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's nuts. Or even to just have the neural link connected to 100 people and do brain scans of how their brains are functioning, like...
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Because that yeah, I mean, I could say a lot of things about it at this point, but it's also like, you know, let's try to keep it surface.
Right.
I don't want to try to start anything right now, but like, I really like the idea, and I write a lot of short stories about it, and how it can function. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hopefully when we turn on the AI system on the other side of the world, the quantum computer will talk to him, and then they'll read everything on the internet at the same time, and they'll transcribe this podcast into like, yeah, we should do this. All right, good.
Right.
I'm not trying to give those, you know, AI overlords any kind of, you know, precedence here. But
dude, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, man.
It's got to think fourth dimensionally with this shit, you know.
Right, 100%. Yeah, the next 10 years is gonna be insane.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, because we're at a complete crossroads right now, and everybody knows it. And it's all like, even without the Neuralink, we're all like, it's coming into a new world, regardless of what anybody does. I think, you know. And you know, I can say whatever I want, but you know, like, I'm not a focal point. You know, there's a million people talking on the internet every day. Right. You know. And it's more comforting in a way too, you know.
For sure.
Rogan's a focal point, you know, like, because he gets paid a lot of money and the bigger names come on his show.
Yeah.
But I think that the more pressing conversations are being had elsewhere, you know. At this point.
For sure.
Like, there were some good conversations on there for a while, and now it's like, okay, like, everyone's kind of like, what else is there, you know?
Right.
Like, besides talking about DMT and conspiracies, like, you know, like, it's like, oh, that's all great and all, you know, but yeah, like, what I don't know, like, and that's like what I really want to do is just like interview everyone who wants to be on here, you know.
Hell yeah, man.
Like, especially at this point, because no one knows who I am, and it's just like, I just show up places and they're like, hey, come in, like, crash here on the couch. I'm like, cool, yeah, let's do this, you know.
Hell yeah.
Man. Anyway, yeah. Try to be the guerrilla tactic at it as much as I can at this point.
Dude,
you know?
For sure. I mean, that's what's gonna yield the best conversation. You know.
What's the advantage and my disadvantage at this point?
Yeah.
You know, my disadvantage is I'm not famous, but the advantage of that is I'm not famous, so no one knows who I am. You know, so I could go anywhere.
Oh yeah, dude.
And that's so perfect, you know?
Yeah.
Like, as long as I can keep myself afloat, like, and like, what do I need to do that? You know what I mean? Like, hopefully I have enough momentum. Like, I got a call today, and they're like, hey, I need you to play piano for 4 days straight at a fairgrounds next July. I'm like, it's August. Cool. Like, I will book out a year in advance right now to play random piano things and talk on the microphone. Yeah, I can do
absolutely.
that. Yeah, like... but yeah, it's gonna take some more organization than I've done in the past, but
I feel that.
Yeah, but it's also something that I learned from the festival, I think, too.
Dude, hell yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I've been thinking about starting to do like a video series on different production techniques and stuff.
Oh,
but then I think about like everything I would need to do, because I mean, I have, you know, like the webcam, I have my phone that records video, I have the interface and the mic and everything.
Yeah.
But then I think about trying to get it all to work. And instead of just like figuring it out, I'm just like, nah, fuck it. I'm not gonna do it. you know.
Yeah. I mean, every avenue that you learn and go down will point you in that direction, basically.
For sure.
Like, the only reason I'm doing this and even know how to do this is because I, like, the summer of 19, like, I had a really bad breakup and then, like, wrote a movie about it, like a short film, and then performed it at the end of that year, and then me and my buddy, like, edited it for, like, a whole year, you know? And so I just hung around, like, we edited it together, so, like, that's how I learned how to video edit.
Right, that's cool, yeah.
And, like, I took a lot of audio production classes when I was younger anyway.
Right on.
So I already, like, it wasn't that hard to pick up after that point. Like, you know how to, like, line up the two tracks on a block, you're good. So you're pretty solid. You just gotta know the shortcuts are usually all the same, you know, like, you know, Control C is copy, Control V is paste, you know.
Yeah.
Control S is save, and you're good. You know?
So, like, when you line this up with the audio in Ableton, how do you do that? Like, I mean, because you probably, the audio and video didn't start at the same time.
No, Right. Yeah, it's basically I just I mix that down on the Ableton, and then I export it to a regular WAV file.
Okay.
And then I throw that on my computer where I'm have my video editing software. The only thing that you really need to do that's extra is like a video card, you know.
Okay.
And like or a graphics card. Mm-hmm. And I was lucky. I built my computer like last September, right before they all started jacking up the price.
Yeah, dude, hell yeah.
And so like I have that, and I have like a tower. And I just use that for the video editing, and like it can bounce like whole 2-hour things down like this in a matter of about a half an hour.
That's
something
sick.
like that.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, you basically like there's audio on the camera too.
Oh, so you just line it up.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
dude, okay.
like you just like match them up. You're like, okay, where am I saying this? And here, zoom all the way in. You like it has to be perfect though, because 2 hours later, if it's a little off,
it could be super off.
Yeah. But other than that, it's not that hard.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Then you just mute the audio on the original video.
Yep.
Hell yeah, that's sweet.
I have a little song that I put for the intro, a little logo, and like, man, you're set. You know?
Right, that's fucking sick, dude. Hell yeah.
There's some of them like that need some extra editing here and there, you know, but mostly I just like play straight through. And then like what I've been doing is like I try to like listen to it or try to remember like a moment that like was a really pertinent to like our conversation that would like really hit well, you know, and then I take a clip of that and I'll put that on Facebook as like
right on the sneak peek.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Direct to Facebook. The video's playing right there when you're scrolling through.
Yeah, that's dope.
You don't have to like click on YouTube to go anywhere, but you still put the link on it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I dig it, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. This has been fun, man.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to do, man, and it's for this reason. It's because, like, there's always a lot of energy that gets thrown back and forth.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
You get to know someone a little bit better,
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I've been doing about 3 of these a week lately.
Dude, nice.
Yeah.
What's your next one gonna be?
On Wednesday, I'm sitting down with the guy who makes the
belt buckles.
Belt buckles. Yeah.
Sick, dude.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
That's badass.
I'm talking comic books on Friday with a guy who's an illustrator.
Right on. And
then I don't have next week planned. I need to get on that. I didn't have anything last week, so I was like dropping the ball a little bit. But
that happens.
Yeah, you know. But I have enough to like. I'm trying to do like one a week right now, just to kind of keep up with it.
Hell yeah.
I'm like more of my time right now is to like try to figure out the whole like audio only aspect of it and the hosting there and trying to get into all the platforms, and yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Right on, man.
It's getting to the point, you know.
Dude, hell yeah. Are you trying to get it on like Spotify and shit like that?
Yeah, like all the like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, like
you should be able to use DistroKid.
You actually can't.
You can't?
No, they don't do that.
Really? Only songs? No,
yes.
No, that's fucking weird.
Yeah, I think they have like a certain time limit maybe or something.
Okay, yeah.
But I definitely looked into that.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if I could just, like use my DistroKid that I already have and just like host
perfect.
it, it would be. But apparently like Podbean is like $110 a year to, I know, but they have it all wrapped up where you have like the RSS feed that goes to everywhere at once, you know?
Yeah.
It's all already linked up, you
That's
know?
sick, yeah.
And there's a couple people, there's a few of them, there's a few companies doing that, you know? But I signed up with those guys. So
Hell yeah.
I just kind of picked one that seemed
I feel it.
Seemed to work, you know? It's like, well, it'll work until it doesn't, you know?
Exactly.
But, yeah. There's always... Yeah, I just don't... Yeah, and that's the hard part about it. Like, once you get it set up and going and you get into a rhythm of it, you know, then it's cool. But, man, I'd rather be working on songs sometimes, but...
I feel that.
Yeah, it's like, I am, like, if I can push this to the point where I can, like, just do the interviews and just write songs all day, holy shit, right? Like,
that'd be the life.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah.
Because I could do that. Like,
right.
That's my favorite part, you know?
For sure.
Like, hey, I just did the thing. Somebody edit it, and somebody post it, and somebody do the groundwork and distribution for it. Thanks.
That would
cool,
be killer.
great.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. And then, I don't know, man. It's cool. It's a good thing to do.
Yeah, it's sweet. It is sweet, dude.
Hell yeah.
When you came to set up too, like when you brought the light, I was like, oh damn.
Right. Yeah, because I can do a little color work, you know,
Yeah,
and
fuck
thing
yeah,
afterwards and post, and yeah, I've done it without the light once now, and it just not good.
Yeah.
You know, like I didn't have, like I was unprepared. I didn't have the power strip or whatever it was.
Right.
I was like, fuck, like I just completely fucked myself on this one. But
have you seen Inside by Bo Burnham?
I've seen a lot of clips on TikTok.
All right. The light reminded me of that. Just like all the shit that he was doing.
Okay.
Yeah, he wrote all the music for that, edited it, shot it, like did everything by himself.
Yeah.
I think there was like one executive producer on the entire thing.
Nice.
But like he put it all together himself like you do.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is pretty much just like him spiraling into a very dark mental space while he does it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like so you have like White Woman's Instagram. You have songs that are like really, really funny.
Yeah.
But interspersed is him like breaking down and crying in front of the camera.
Wow.
There was one part because it was basically like he tells part of the story in one of his songs called All Eyes on Me.
Okay.
Where he was getting really big. He was famous. He was the youngest person ever to have a Comedy Central stand-up special.
Yeah.
You know.
For sure.
He started having panic attacks on stage.
Oh shit.
And it got so bad that he quit. For 5 years and didn't perform live.
Yeah.
And so he took steps to get better, and he did get better. You know, he got so much better that he thought he'd be able to go back out on stage. Mm-hmm. And so in January of 2020, he started making plans to hit the stage again for the first time since 2015.
Wow.
And then a global pandemic hit.
Damn.
And so then he told himself he was going to create this video, like his special, in isolation by himself.
Yeah.
And you see, like, there's this one clip where he's like joking and shit, talking about how he can't wait to turn 30 and he's gonna have a great party and this and that.
Yeah.
And then you realize that he's sitting right next to a clock that says 11:59 and he's by himself alone.
Oh wow.
And it's like, and he filmed it by himself alone, like right when he turned 30. And
wow.
There was nobody around.
Yeah.
And then there's this like one scene where he's trying to talk about how it's going and he like breaks down and starts crying and like throws a camera.
Wow.
And then just that interspersed with like the songs, dude, like watching it as a whole from start to finish, it like part of it made me want to cry, you know, because it was so expertly done, but I just felt so much for what he was going through because I've been there too. Yeah. And it was just like incredibly fucking powerful because not only are the songs by themselves like fucking hilarious and they're good and like they're deep, but witnessing it all together, dude, was like fucking insane.
I can't wait. I kind of intersperse like my subscriptions.
I feel it, yeah, for sure.
I'm not gonna pay for all these at once. I can't.
Hell no.
I don't have enough time to watch that much TV at once.
Dude, exactly.
What I've seen is pretty insightful.
Yeah, I think you'll like it a lot, dude, for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait. I completely relate to the whole like I'm gonna have a party when I'm turning 30. Like that's why I had Jubilee Go, man. Like when I turned 30, I turned 100 instead. You know.
Hell yeah.
Like, hey, because it was like I was 29. I came out with the first Great Grandpa BB album. I'm like at my buddy's place recording their album or something. He's like, man, you should have a really big birthday party where you turn like 100 or something. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, that's sick. That's so cool.
And then I was like, man, if I call it Great Grandpa BB's 100th birthday party, that sounds egotistical. Maybe I'll just call it Jubilego, you know? I was like looking up every E word in the dictionary until I'm like, you know, like I like ego. Like ego is the thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, plus it's like, hey, Jubilee, go to that, go to this.
Right.
You know, it's
no,
like
that's
already,
cool. I love the name.
Already promotion in the name kind of thing.
Hell yeah.
It fit, it worked, and ever since, you know?
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes something just comes up, dude, and when it sticks, you know it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That was definitely like my year for like that transition though. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Between I was living at a house in Kent with my band at the time, Rambunctious Bunch and Coffin Riders and Apple Stompers. We all played together in that house, all jammed together in that house for a while.
Nice.
And I got frustrated just doing that, I guess, and I was just like, I need to do my own thing, blah blah, you know, in my head, and like I got frustrated and like in practice I went upstairs and I wrote a song and then I was like, this is the tits, you know, like I'm gonna go downstairs and they're like, we just wrote a song, and I was like, I just wrote a song, and at that point it felt like, okay, cool, like I'm going in this direction, you guys are going that direction.
Yeah.
You know, I'll still play with the band, I'm still here, you know, for as long as this happens and all that, but ended up like the landlords of that house got evicted or got foreclosed on.
Okay.
And then so the bank evicted us like a few months later, and then I was like, I don't have any money to keep paying rent, and like you guys aren't really paying. It doesn't matter. Like there's some things, and I was like, I'm just gonna move back to Norwalk, and
right.
It just worked out really well that like everyone in Norwalk was like, hey, we're making this big album compilation of a bunch of artists around Norwalk.
That's sick, dude.
And that was like, and then that song that I wrote upstairs that day is the one that they used on that album.
That's badass.
I was like,
synchronicity.
Yeah. And then it was like, then I met Chew Dat Frog, and like, you know, Emily Keener was there, and Scott Steyert, and Kevin Overmeyer, and like so many people, you know.
Yeah. That's dope, dude.
And then it was just a thing. And then we had a big party. We broke the floor joists in this tavern, and we're like, okay, we're a group now. And then like a month later, I'm just like, hey, let's throw a festival because we're all a group now, you know.
That's sick, dude.
And then I still had all my ties in Kent, and you know, Apple Stoppers came out and played that one. My old punk band came back and played our last show.
Hell
and
yeah!
It was just like so cool, you know,
yeah,
like
that's badass.
Yeah.
That's a good festival to start on, man.
Dude, it was so like everyone's been pretty amazing. Yeah. Like I've always put my heart and soul into it, and everyone's really responded, and it's always like the most loving place to be in the world. Like I'm always just like literally running from place to place the entire day, you know, and I'm just like, I need food, like give me coffee, where are we at? You guys go here.
That's sick, dude. When is it coming up?
September 25th.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Norwalk?
Yeah, just like 8 miles south of Norwalk.
Right
at this little campground. They got a stage already set up and power at the stage, and
that's sick.
Yeah. It's gonna be super DIY this year. I think we're gonna get a bunch. I've always wanted to put a ton of lamps on the stage at once.
Yeah, dude.
You know, just like house lamps and shit.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, it is. And
yeah, that'll be awesome.
Yeah. I used to carry around that lamp. I don't know if you remember. I used to always like keep a lamp with me. Like,
dude, hell yeah.
I lost that a few years ago. I don't know. I have no idea what happened to it.
Shit.
It just like completely disappeared off the face of the earth, and I was like, man, that's.
Gotta get a new one, man.
I will. Yeah.
Yeah, the lamp was sick.
I'm in. I'll pick one up here for the festival and keep it going.
There you go, dude.
Yeah. Now I got my at that radio show. I did something I never did before, where like I had that synth. I had like an old Pro One remake, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was cheap, but like I had enough time with it where I knew like there's like 3 knobs that I know that I can just keep making different sounds with, you know.
Okay.
And I put it on a volume pedal, so that like I'm just like, I'm gonna turn this on and keep making weird stuff just like automatically.
That's sick.
It's like autopilot while I'm talking and shit.
That's like, really cool though.
Yeah. And it's like it ties things together so much better.
Oh yeah.
It keeps everyone's attention. And it's like, what's gonna happen next? I don't know. There's no truth, only poetry. Who are you? You know, like. And then like I was like completely gonna chicken out of this one thing I was like planning. I was like gonna do like a whole Rick and Morty skit where like I do the voices because I'm like, this is radio. I can just do voices and no one's gonna know, you know. And like, so I turned on the synthesizer. I'm like, whoa, is there like a portal happening right here? It's like, oh geez, Rick. Oh man, like I don't think we should be here right now, Rick. It's like, shut up, Morty. Shut up. Like, this is the best radio show in the stenosphere. I'm like,
dude, that's spot on, man.
And like, the whole crowd was like about 20 to 23, you know, and they were just like face melting and shit. I'm like,
sure.
okay, I'm hitting a chord here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna keep this rolling. And then I had written this skit out, you know, in my notebook, and like, but then I mixed the parts up between Rick and Morty, and I was just like, I'm rolling with it. Here we go. This is what Rick says now.
Dude, that's killer.
It was so fun, man. But I have a younger cousin. He's autistic, and he calls me on the phone at least 5 times a week, you know, and it's always the exact same conversation.
Yeah.
With variations, and he's always just trying to get me to do impersonations of his people randomly. So, you know, like, it's like, oh, what does Eddie Murphy sound like if he's talking to Adam Sandler right now? I was like, all right, well, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm in the boat. Here we go, man. It's
that's
like,
awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It gets a little tedious sometime, but
for sure.
I need like I've recorded a couple of the conversations. You know, like I want to. It's going to be a future podcast.
Hell
you know, where it's like me and him talking on the phone, and because he's a lot. He's very intense. You know, and he's kind of a large person too. You know, and so like if you're just talking to him in person, you don't know him. You're like, okay, I don't know Steely Dan, man.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry. Like,
right.
Elton John, cool. I gotta go, you know. But like, if you're just listening to him like on a radio or something like that, it's like the most entertaining thing
That's
ever.
awesome. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I've been trying to drink a gallon of water a day, specifically because of like just drinking all the caffeine I was talking about earlier. I was like, okay, I'm being super fucking unhealthy, like.
Dehydrates you and
dehydrates me. I'm just not drinking enough water.
Yeah.
So I got that fucking thing.
Hell yeah.
And I love it. Like, I feel a marked improvement in how I feel in the day to day.
Yeah.
But dude, I just fucking pee all the time.
Yeah.
And it's annoying. Because I used to be like good, but now it's like, nope, I'm gonna pee at least like 8 times today.
Yo, causation correlation there, I think, you know?
Dude, for sure. When we go back and watch this, there will be 2 specific times where, for about a half-hour period leading up to me leaving to go pee, I'll probably just start fidgeting more and more. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like the video format a lot, too, man. Like, if I'm watching a podcast or if I'm listening to one, I'm like, if there's a video form of it, I'll probably go watch that, you know?
I'm the same way, dude. Yeah, like when I do the Waking Up app for like mindfulness meditation, I listen to those ones, but any other podcast, be it like a fight podcast or a music podcast or just a conversational one like this, I always like watching it more.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes I don't even watch it. I'll just sit it next to me and then just look at it every once in a while. I'm like, dude, what are they doing right now? Or something, you know?
There's this fucking podcast that I love. I got in... It was probably a stupid decision, but I got back into skateboarding last year.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So, there's this podcast called The 9 Club.
Okay.
And it's just this podcast all about skateboarding by this old pro skater, Chris Roberts. He used to skate for Chocolate.
Okay.
A dude named Jerron Williams, a dude named Kelly Hart, and a dude named Jesus Christ. And they'll just go deep on like current clips. They'll have people on for what they call stop and chats.
Yeah.
And these dudes will just give their story and like it's I could listen to hours of it and never be bored.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's only video format, so I'll just pull it up and I'll be down here just like fucking around, maybe noodling on guitar or cleaning or like feeding my snake or something.
Yeah.
You know, I fucking love it, dude.
Did they play like clips of people skateboarding?
Exactly.
And take them apart?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's rad.
Dude.
That's super rad.
Yeah, so they'll put clips down in the bottom, and normally what they'll do for the people that are on for the stop and chat, we'll talk to them about like parts they've done and shit, and then they'll be like, okay, dude, they'll pull up these clips and like, how the fuck did you do this? What was going through your mind at the time? Yeah, it's really cool, dude.
Yeah, I always hung out with the skaters, you know, but I was never a skateboarder myself.
I feel it, man. I'm fucking terrible at it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to say I was really good when I was younger. You know, I could do flip tricks. I could do some grinds.
Nice.
It was never like a shredder. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And then I just got way into music. I stopped for like 12 years and then just picked it back up when me and my buddy Nick from Lockport were furloughed. Right down the street from here, like as you're going back towards the highway, if you bust a right onto what is called North Orchard Road, the Muskingum Watershed Project has the Bolivar Dam back there. Okay. And so part of it is just this huge, wide open, like concrete field. Yeah. And on the one side of it is just a super steep bank. Yeah. So we just go there, roll around, dude, practice our ollies, ride up the bank, carve back down. Hell and I just got bit, dude. And there's like 15 minutes up in Canton, there's 9th Street DIY, which is this amazing skate park, like all concrete poured, that these dudes put their time and money into. And then eventually like talked to the Canton Parks Department and we're like, hey, like, we're keeping kids off the street. Like, look at what we're doing for the community. Please don't tear this down. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so they got the city of Canton's blessing. It's completely free. Hell it's fucking. And so I'll take the kiddo up there like every Monday, dude.
It's an Olympic sport now.
Yeah, man. It's insane. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Used to be just all the kids that got stoned behind the church after school, man.
Yeah, practice their kickflips, dude, yeah. And some of the announcers for, like, they were, like, they didn't know, like, the names of tricks and shit like that. Oh, wow.
Dude. Weird.
Yeah. Goofy.
Yeah, the world, I mean, it's changing, man. It's evolving, you know?
Yeah.
It's usually for the best, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I've tried to I tried to drop into a bowl one time, but I should definitely not have done that, you know? Like, because I was thinking, okay, I've never done this before, but I'm also drunk enough to have courage to do it, and neither of those things coincide together well.
Yeah, dude, I feel it for sure. Oh yeah, I've wiped out in some bowls before, man. Mm-hmm. Oh, it sucks. You just eat shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I just fell straight on my back inside here, and the no breath. All the breath just gets thrown out of you. You're like, hey, dude, are you okay, man? Yeah. I'll be okay.
Exactly. Oh, shit, I hate that feeling, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I got decently well at, like, writing, you know, for a minute, you know, but that's about where I cut off, man. Yeah. I never, like, lived in town, though, you know. Right. I became, like, the cross-country runner, you know.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Partially because of the asthma, and I just, like, was like, I need to beat this, you know. Right. And, like, where your weakness becomes your strength kind of idea. Yeah, dude, absolutely. You know? It's weird that I had that much, you know, cognitive, like awareness of, like, the situation.
No, that's really cool, though, yeah.
It's just, like, certain things like that, like, are the challenge, you know? It's 100%. Like, challenge accepted, what we got, you know?
Yeah,
like, let's run right at it, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. Did you notice that running cross helped with your breath?
Well, I knew that I had an asthma attack every time I ran, you know? But it's like almost like one of those things where if you know it's going to happen every time, then you're prepare. Like, you're not afraid of it. You're not like, you know, you're not out in the world like, oh, is this going to happen at any moment now or whatever. Right. It's like I was able to, like, push myself to the point where it would happen so that, like, when I was normally just everyday life, it would just never happen in everyday life, you know?
Fuck yeah.
Until the point where at some point I grew out of it, and now I haven't, you know, I don't think about it, you know? Yeah. Which is great. I ran a mile today, like, not a long distance, but it was just 90 degrees outside. And
it was hot, dude.
Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to break a good sweat, you know, and just get out there, but I didn't even think about it happening now, you know?
Right, that's cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's, like, a good, you know, kind of philosophy of life. If something, like, not if something, if you're afraid of something for a good reason, don't do it, obviously, but, like, if something, like, is kind of frightening to you, and it's exciting, and it's like, man, okay, let's do it, you know?
Yeah, like, maybe that's kind of how skateboarding is for me.
Nice, yeah. Because it's the direction that maybe you should go, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it gets me active, too, which is sweet, because before that, I wasn't really doing much in the form of, like, exercising, you know, and getting out there, like, 4 times a week and just skating until I'm fucking super out of breath, like, multiple times a night.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's been helping me out. Like, it makes me feel better, too, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've been addicted to running for a long time.
Hell yeah. I ran cross country in 8th grade,
Nice.
And at the Malone Cross Country Invitational, I got 494th out of 495 people.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Always finished, though.
Oh, hell yeah, right?
Yeah, I remember, dude, I was stoked, because when I was in 8th grade, man, I was like 5'3".
Okay.
And I was chonky.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, when I realized it was a 2-mile course in 8th grade.
Yeah, yeah.
And I ran almost, like, for the first half of the season, I had to walk every race that we did.
Yeah.
And then there was this one race, I realized, like, if I controlled my breath better, I didn't have to stop, and I could, like, jog / run the whole time.
Yeah.
And in one race, I cut, like, fucking 3.5 minutes off my time.
Hell yeah, right? Yeah, that feels great.
I always thought it was kind of funny, though, because then I got, like, the MVP award for that race the following week at practice.
Oh, cool.
And the reward was a king-size Mr. Goodbar. It's like, what are you trying to tell me?
Yeah,
dude?
1 step forward, 2 steps back here. Where we at, man?
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, even back then, I'm like, man, that's fucking ironic.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sugar is so pervasive in our culture.
I know, it's insane, dude.
I heard a really fucked up thing about cultivation of sugar earlier today. Terrence McKenna was like, some old speech of his, you know, where he was talking about how, he's like, well, we used to, like, the way that we talk about slavery and, like, agriculture, you know, is this mindset that, like, well, slavery always happened, you know? And it's like, yeah, it did, but it was always, like, a thing where, like, there was, like, one person who was, like, in your house helping you and was treated well, but, like, technically, yeah, you know? And once, like, sugar development, once, like, Europe kind of became addicted to sugar, like, they started, like, cultivating it in large, you know, crops and things. And it was like a type of process that no one really wanted to do. And so they just chained people to the sugar vats, basically.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's a straight drug, too, you know?
100%.
And it's like, it was like an entire culture became addicted to a drug. And then, like, it went out of control. Like, they just started hurting people because of it. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, that's fucking nuts.
Yeah. And when you look at it like that, it's like, I never thought of it that way before.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. It makes me want to not eat as much sugar, that's for goddamn sure.
Yeah. And it's not good for you anyway.
It's fucking terrible for you, dude. Sugar is definitely one of my weaknesses, like gummy candies and stuff, dude.
Right.
I eat way too much of it, and I'm cognizant of the fact that it's fucking terrible for me.
Yeah.
But it just goes back to, like, having an addictive personality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if it's not alcohol, it's gonna manifest in other ways.
Yeah.
And it definitely manifests in, like, caffeine consumption and, like, sugar intake, dude.
Yeah.
And, like, I've been chilling out on it recently, but yeah, dude. I mean, there would be times I'd go to the gas station, get, like, a bag of sour gummy worms, fucking pound the whole thing, and think nothing of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, multiple times a week.
Yeah.
It got to the point where it's like, dude, that's not fucking healthy at all.
Right.
Like, it's terrible, dude.
Yeah.
And then, right around the same time, man, I started skating more, started drinking a gallon of water a day.
There you go.
Like,
yeah.
I gotta stop treating my body like that, because, like, one of these days it's not gonna be so forgiving, man.
Yeah. I had that, I used to write in these coffee shops a lot, and every time I would get, like, you know, a piece of pie or, like, a donut thing or something to go with the coffee.
Fuck yeah.
Like, every single day I was doing that for a while, and then it just, like, I could just feel my body just hurt in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, fuck, like, that feels like diabetes. That feels wrong.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
That is wrong. I need to, like, detox for a second, you know?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was, I think.
Yeah, I fucking hate that feeling, dude. Oh, it's no good.
No, It got to the point over the winter, like, cause I felt so like, I couldn't do anything. Like, I couldn't run. Like, I didn't couldn't get a membership to the gym to go run. You know, like, I couldn't like do any kind of like athletic thing in my apartment like all winter, and that just like destroyed me. And like, I was eating a lot. I was eating, you know, gallons of ice cream, like, you know, like just a little bit at night, every night, or but also something with coffee, and also whatever is in my normal food, which is always in my normal food kind of thing. And I started feeling it, and I took myself to the doctor, and like I found out like I was like having hypoglycemic reactions, you know, because like I was like, I feel like almost like I'm gonna pass out at some point, you know. And I knew, like, I started looking up, like, symptoms and found hypoglycemia, and I was like, I bet that's what I have. And I do that every time I go to the doctor, though, because, like, I don't know. I just don't trust doctors. I don't trust the entire pharmaceutical industry. I don't trust like any of that anymore. And usually, every time that I've gone to the doctor in like the last 5 years or so, I've always looked up what it was, and I get my second opinion from them. They confirm what I thought already, and then I'm like cool with it, you know.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I'm like, okay, that's what I thought. Good, cool, you know.
Hell yeah.
That's the way. I don't know. Like it's so weird. I've always been really against the commercialization of new pharma drugs that aren't really even proven yet, that are just like money grabs.
Oh, 100%, dude.
Jesus Christ. Like
side effects may include death.
Yeah.
Call your doctor today. Mm-hmm.
I was riding across the train, across the country on a train, and I was in Montana. I stopped there for a night. I was going to visit some friends. And get on the train the next morning, right? I go into the train station, and man, it was like I love this experience just because it just like put on me to like talk about it more. Was the like I walk in the whole train station, everyone just looked depressed. Maybe it was because it was like 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning or something like that. Sun was just coming up, and like there's just like televisions everywhere with pharmaceutical ads on them. And it's the only thing that you heard when you walked in there.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
And I was like, man. And then luckily there was like a piano sitting there in the corner. I'm like, there's a whole like train station full of people, and trained people are different than normal people too.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Man.
They don't want to be fucked with.
Well, they do.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been on a train before? And
just like the subway in Manhattan in New York City.
No. Like Amtrak, like traveling.
No.
Holy shit! It's a whole different thing, man.
Okay.
It's like I was on a train for 80 hours from San Diego to Sandusky, Ohio.
Holy
once.
shit, dude!
And like I could have just kept going, man.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, all right, who else, man? Who else is here? You know?
That's fucking awesome.
Man, I met some just amazing people. Just like everyone, it's got stories.
Hell
and
yeah,
like,
that's really cool.
It is, and so like that's always my mentality when I'm on trains.
Yeah, that's badass.
And so I just went straight to the piano and started playing ragtime shit, and everyone was just like applauding afterwards. I'm like, oh wow, you guys are listening, cool.
Oh yeah.
And then so that made it. That was like music is always the best in on any conversation.
For sure.
So then. Once I got on the train from Montana to Chicago, I knew everybody.
Yeah,
It's like, hey, you're the piano guy. It's like, oh, what's up?
That's sweet, dude. Hell yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. People are pretty cool on there. I got the experience. I had a friend go out to Montana when I was like 20 or something, and like I was like, I'm gonna go visit you. I'm gonna get on the train too,
Hell yeah.
And that sounds like a great time, Let's go to Montana. But so I did, and that's like that's a good like 25, maybe 30. No, it's a 40-hour. That's a 40-hour train ride.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Straight through.
From Sandusky to Whitefish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be 41, something like that.
That's
but
right.
like, yeah. I remember coming back one time, and it was like New Year's Eve, and like the way the clock hit, we celebrated in like Indiana and Ohio.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is cool. I was like busting beers open on my belt. There was no buckle on there. It was just like the only thing solid I had to like break the beer up.
Against. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. You get to celebrate New Year's twice.
Yeah, I was sitting next to this lady who had like back when we all had CD cases and like that. It was just like we were young, like both of us were pretty young at the time, and like she had the CD case, and I'm like, oh cool, can I look through your CD case? We'll trade CD cases or whatever. And like it was like she's like, well, it's all Christian music, but in the back there's a couple country discs. I'm like, whoa, that's wild.
That's awesome.
Have you ever heard of like Jimi Hendrix or Nirvana before? She's like, I don't know, who are they? I'm like, okay, cool. Like, here's Sunshine of Your Love. Like, just check it out. You don't have to like it.
Dude, that's awesome.
Completely corrupting her with like
with rock and roll.
Yeah. I was like, what year is this? Where am I?
Yeah, straight up. That's nuts.
Yeah, and that's you think that you exist in this world where everybody knows this stuff, you know?
And they don't.
They really don't.
Yeah. Like To Her, the X-rated material with the country albums in the back.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, man, how many people know about Cream and all these guys now?
Right, dude, yeah.
You know? And like, I know people who do, and like, they gravitate towards it, and it's like, yeah, you get it, and it's like...
There's just whole subsets of people that grow up never knowing any of that.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Or never have an interest. I was down in New Orleans once, and I met a guy who was born in New Orleans who just didn't like music.
Yeah.
And I was like, how are you, like, you know, like, and you're still here too, man. That's wild. You know, like, it was just so incomprehensible to me.
Right. Right.
And I'm just like, there's gypsy jazz right over here. There's these brass bands. There's guys with buckets on the street.
Yeah.
It's like...
You just don't care for any of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, he took us to this, like, straight metal bar in the middle of New Orleans. And, like, this was straight Rob Zombie, you know, Metallica. Like, yeah. I was like, cool, I used to listen to this stuff, man. You know, like, I know all these guys, and... You know, I'll talk to all of these people about it for a minute, but I gotta go, cause like I'm in New Orleans and I don't want to be here.
Right, right. Yeah, shit.
It was so weird. But the coolest thing that happened there was that there was like this gypsy band that I seen earlier in the night, and they had just finished playing, and I had just bought everyone beers. And I was like, I want to hear you guys all night. And
right.
He's like, oh man, we'll come to this one bar later, we'll be jamming in the back. I was like, okay, cool.
Hell yeah, that's sick.
And so I went there, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours later, and I went to the back of this pub, and no one's there, right? I'm just like, man, boned, like, whatever. And I walk out, and I see the dude from the band who told me about it on the street there. And I was like, man, what's up, man? Like, no jam tonight or what's... And he's like, oh, shit, yeah, hold on. And he, like, literally just, like... He's like, follow me. And he walks through the bar, tapping on people's shoulders all the way through the bar. And then, like, 5 minutes later, just, like, clarinet, stand-up bass, guitar, backup singers. Like,
dude, that's so cool.
It was like, what the fuck is happening? It's
that's
like,
badass,
oh, give
dude.
the long hair guy a verse. Like, go to town, man. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm singing. I'm way too drunk for this.
That's so cool.
It was the coolest thing that's ever happened,
dude,
man.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. Because it's like everybody's a musician there in those type of cities.
Right. You don't have to say anything. Just tap them on their shoulder.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was like some kind of secret society or something like that.
Right, dude. That's
know?
Nuts. Yeah, I've never been down there, man, but that sounds amazing.
It is. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And it's just like, I love the just keeping it alive, keeping the traditional music alive, and that whole like mindset down there. It's just like... It's such a perfect type of music for the area and for the weather and for just, I don't know, just for life, I guess. Yeah. It just keeps you in a good mood all the time. You know, it's like, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, yeah, great. Like, what are you saying, man? Like, that's, it's more how music used to be when, like, the only music that you ever heard was music in your area, in your village. Yeah. You know, and then if you're a musician, you learned what the people in your village played before you, and you played that, because that's all you've ever heard. Right. Really. You know, you have a horse, maybe you travel, like, troubadours would come around every once in a while and be like, but you only got to hear those, they picked up songs from everywhere. And they're like, this is how they played, like, but you didn't know that. You're just like, oh, this guy knows a lot of weird songs, like, how does he know this, you know? And it really is just because he's traveling around picking up his favorite songs from different places and learning them and making them his own probably, and just like bringing them to places. Yeah, that's far out. Yeah. And now everything's recorded, so it's like the way that evolution of music happened after recording is ungodly. Yeah. Like it just like exploded in so many different directions because it's like everyone can hear it, and you have like a system where it's like, well, once we have it down, we don't have to do it again. Right. In a way. Yeah. You know, it's like, oh, well, I recorded that song, on to the next one, you know, like, and that, like, will produce an entirely different kind of musician and how you approach music after that, too. For sure. Yeah, I've never thought about that, but that's completely correct. Yeah. And it hasn't stagnated really, you know. Yeah. Ever since then, like it feels that way to a lot of people, I think, because people get wrapped up in their music of their era. Right. A lot of times, And like I've seen this a lot with grunge guys, you know, in our era, you know, like man, they don't make music like, you know, Alice in Chains and Soundgarden anymore, and it's like, where's all the good music at? It's like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but man, I tell you what, there's a lot of good shit happening right now.
Yeah, dude,
you know?
for sure. You just gotta look.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's just local pockets and things too.
Yeah.
Those are like a lot of my favorite bands.
Oh yeah, some of my favorite music that I'll probably hold close and like near and dear to my heart for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Are bands from Northeast Ohio that broke up years ago.
I know.
You know.
I know.
Yeah, man. Like Hey Sandy's one of them.
Yeah.
And it's just like every single one of their songs, dude.
Yeah.
I'm still convinced I've heard nothing better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they broke up, and I know all those dudes still.
Yeah.
They broke up years ago, but it just existed so specifically in this moment in time, of like when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And they were just so good and so talented beyond their years.
Yeah.
It's just insane, dude. It's so cool. And that probably happens in neighborhoods around the world.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We had the Womack Family Band basically single-handedly created like our entire scene in Norwalk there for a minute.
Hell,
you know?
yeah.
And it's like they were the glue. They were the glue that held everything together. And they were all in their 20s and just amazing harmonies. They just completely nailed everything.
Hell,
you know?
yeah, dude. That's sick.
And they were writing really good songs. And then I think they broke up in 15-ish, you know. But yeah, I'm in a band with the drummer. Yeah, I don't think about it in those terms as much anymore. But
right.
Yeah, they all went off and did their own things too. But
so crazy.
Yeah. Tomcat just split up.
Yeah, dude, it's insane.
Yeah, that kind of hurt when that happened too.
For sure, Tomcat was so good.
Yeah, I was like hanging out in Akron a lot in that time period too, right when they first came out.
Yeah,
like,
Jerry fucking rips.
Yeah, Young Ones, man, I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just like sing along. I was hanging out with Jerry the other night there after the Flock of Moon's show at the Musica.
Yeah, was that sick? Relaxer
Dude.
Played too, right?
Yeah,
That's dope, dude.
Yeah,
their bass player Corey is a super nice guy.
Yeah. I talked to him a little bit. I think I don't remember what I said, but I was like, oh, this would be funny to say to this guy, you know. But so that happened, whatever that was, who knows, you know.
Right.
But yeah.
I remember like many years ago, dude, before Tomcat, when Jerry was in Big Sur.
Okay.
We played a show with them in Canton, like at some. It was called like B2B something.
Yeah.
B2B squared or something like that.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just this building on Cleveland.
Yeah.
But they just fucking ripped.
Yeah.
And it was even then it was like, holy shit, like they are so good for what I'm hearing right now, and it's just like I can't believe that like I'm sharing a back room with this band.
Yeah.
I love shit like that, dude.
Yeah, that's when it's the best, and it's like you don't have fame in the equation, you don't have money in the equation, you just have like, these guys really are saying this to me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they don't need to say this to me. There's no reason they should even be here. But they are, and they love it, and I love it, and everybody is together, you know?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, and it man, and it's all comes down to like why are you here doing this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you're writing songs and you mean everything that you're saying, like that's everything, you know? Or if even if you're not singing and you don't have any lyrics at all, like if you're trying to be the best person and kind to everybody there, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's like being reflected in the music or your work ethic or, you know, whatever you're doing, like that is something that like is like you're kindling a fire that people want to be around.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Hell yeah.
It's that kind of like circle mind kind of mentality.
Right.
I've always like as far as like, I mean, just like what's a human, you know? Like a human exists when there's fire. Before that point, it's not what we think of as human anymore.
Right. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Because fire is a thing that says, hey, all the people that were here, how many people can we fit around this fire, you know? because I don't want to have to make my own fire, you know?
Right.
And so people just naturally gathered that way. That's where music is invented. That's where language is invented.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. I always thought about like what it would be like the first time people really figured out how to brew beer for the first time on purpose.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Without like accidentally fermenting something that's like, oh, all our wine went bad, or all our grape juice went bad, right? Wait a minute, I dare you to drink that shit. This is the longest podcast I've ever done, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
This is great. I haven't talked about a lot of this stuff before. I love, yeah, you're bringing out a lot of stuff, man.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, even just like, you know, when we created Fire and like the first music was made.
Yeah.
Imagining just the emotion that you would feel.
Oh my God.
And like what that music would sound like, you know. I was getting into, like, recently, reading, like, a lot of Aphex Twin interviews and then listening to, like, a lot of Turkish music and just trying to go beyond, like, 12-tone equal temperament.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because there's a whole fucking a whole spectrum of vibrational frequency.
Yeah.
That we just put into 12 notes in Western music.
Yeah.
But it's, like, just imagining, you know, or just trying to see beyond that, I guess, has been, like, really, really cool as of late. Because that's just what I've been raised on, and for the vast majority of my life until now, it's just been that.
Yeah.
You know, and then I realized there's so much beyond that.
Oh,
and I'm sure just like the music in its infancy, the first music created, and just the emotion that invoked, I'm sure it was fucking... It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, and it had to have been just vocal music, probably. You know?
Chants.
Yeah. And, like, and then there was the guy, like, sucking the bone marrow out of the bone and made a flute noise on accident.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, huh? And he's like, dude, does it again or whatever. He's like, and then he holds a long note, and everyone's like, what?
Dude, yeah.
And then someone tries to sing along to that note, you know?
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah. It's like, okay, this is a lot different than what we were doing a minute ago.
Right.
It's so weird how, like, easily amused we are.
For real.
Music is literally things that kindergartners do, you know?
100%.
Yeah. Like, it's nothing, like, difficult at all.
No, it's just notes.
Yeah. Like, and depending on how you look at it, you're just like, oh, I want the note to go up. I want the note to go down.
Right.
It's like, wow, okay. Like, I definitely feel like a, one of those monkeys playing a, hurdy-gurdy.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of times.
Yeah, absolutely. There will be times where I'm just, like, caught in the moment, and I'm just looking down, and I'm almost in, like, disconnected from my body in disbelief of what my hands are doing.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, you're just so in the moment that it's all just muscle memory, and you're just playing whatever notes you've played thousands of times before.
Yeah.
And it's just like, holy shit, like, this brings me such joy, and it's just notes. I'm just moving my fingers a little bit on a piece of wood.
Yeah, right.
With metal strings attached to it.
I always liked how, I think it was Jack White made a video of himself, like, you know, throwing a nail down in a board on a front porch, wrapping a string around it and pulling it back and nailing another nail down and just going hell yeah. I was like, yup, that's exactly what it is.
Right, it's so awesome.
It is literally just nothing. It's like the simplest it's like the simplest language that you can learn or something.
Yeah.
And you know it just by growing up in their society.
Right.
And that it's so weird how complex it is now. I mean, like, even listening to some of your stuff, I'm like, all right, how's he doing some of that stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, the guy's standing right here. It's obviously a guy that did this. You
right,
know, like,
right.
Sometimes if you don't know the person who did something, you're like, okay, this is probably just a computer or something. You know, like.
Yeah, the real fast, like, synth part was just a chord that I was holding with an arpeggiator.
Okay. Yeah.
I think like a descending arpeggio set to, like, I think
cool.
16th notes.
Cool.
It was either that or sometimes with real fast passages like that, I do it like a few different ways. I'll either arpeggiate something, so if I have like a pad part and the chord progression's already there, then I'll change the synth to like something with more of an attack and put an arpeggiator on it.
Yeah.
Or I'll sit down and I'll play it like bar by bar on the piano.
Okay.
And then like get that good.
Yeah.
And then, or I'll play the whole thing and then just go back and like adjust it and like fix what I fucked up.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's so much control over it now too.
It's insane, dude. And like what boggles my fucking mind is that there's no limit to what you can do. The only limit is your mind. Like, so with this fucking keyboard that I have right here, it has like 8 motorized faders on it. It has 8 pads, and then I think right by your feet.
Oh yeah.
That's what I used to play live.
Okay.
And I can map anything to those knobs or pads that I want, and so I'll map like the instrumentals to the pads, but then on the knobs, like even like inside of Ableton, I use like the fade to gray effect, and all that is like a bandpass filter. But the frequency cutoffs on the low and the high for the bandpass filter are tied to the wet mix of like triplet delay, and so the wetter it gets, it like fades everything out in this beautiful wash, and you can like bring it back into segue between tracks and stuff.
What are you using to do that? Just the Ableton effects?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's insane because what you can do is you can group like, say you have both your effects going. Say on like an audio track or whatever.
Yeah.
You have like you could do it with any effects you wanted. Say I wanted the wetness of a reverb or the wetness of a reverb and like the rate of phaser to be conjoined.
Okay.
Then you can select both of those and map both of those to one macro control knob.
Oh, wow.
And then you can map that macro control knob to like one knob on the machine or one knob on your...
wow.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And so that's what's crazy is that the control gets so deep, you're really only limited by your understanding of it.
Yeah.
Because I've been using Ableton hours a day for the better part of a decade, and I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface.
Damn.
I mean, and I have like a deep understanding of Ableton, but dude, just some of the tools in there, I mean, it's just so, it's totally catered to what you need it for. But there's just like, you can do, like for one of these tracks, dude, I made like the most insane hi-hat part.
Yeah.
Because I have this drum setup called just Kit Selector. And so for each hit that's in the drum rack there, you have like 100 different samples to choose from. Okay? And so what I did was I mapped that knob to go up and down linearly, like on the scale. Or not on the scale, but just on the fucking in arrangement mode.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, dude. And so as soon as it slows,
it's so ridiculous what's possible anyway.
Stupid. It's stupid. Like it's a beautiful thing because then you have somebody where it's like, I was listening back to some of the first electronic songs I ever made.
Yeah.
And was astounded. I was like, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Because back then I wasn't bound by like, oh, I should always like low pass my subs at like 90 hertz. I should always do this, always do that. I just did what I wanted to do because I was figuring it out and I wanted to do what sounded good.
Yeah.
And it's like back then it was much more freeing. Because you didn't feel like, I feel like the more I learned about audio engineering and stuff, the more I was like, oh, I have to do stuff this way.
Right. Yeah. You kind of box yourself in by your own kind of like mindset behind it.
Dude, exactly. Yeah. So like this. So that's just cycling through all of these different. It's just doing like a simple 16-note part with a triplet every second measure. So super simple hi-hat part. It's just cycling through like 70 different samples.
Wow.
It's going from like 1 to 70 and then back to 1.
Can you turn that up a little bit?
And so then you can adjust like the decay.
somebody was making R2D2 sounds back in the 70s and was like, somebody did something like that and they're like, you're a genius, man.
Dude,
How
yeah.
you...
All just like random stuff on like modular synthesizers and stuff, man. You know?
Yeah.
Doing the sound effects and the sound development for those movies is probably such a cool job.
Oh, yeah.
Just routing audio in different ways. Like, oh, I think like that sounds like it could be like a robot that's happy.
Yeah.
Let's see what they think.
Yeah, right.
Or like, oh, this robot's sad. What should that sound like?
I found this video of like the weirdest bird noises one day, and like one of them sounded identical to R2D2.
That's
and I'm just like my mind was shattered at that point. Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, I mean it makes perfect sense, and it's also, you know what always got me about R2D2, man, is that like we have like memory cards and like connector ports of like a myriad of different kinds. Like, yeah, over the years, all of our phones just like you don't have the same charger twice, in 2 years, and like somehow that robot could go anywhere in the entire universe and connect to a goddamn port
and he had
in a
what
spaceship.
He needed. Yeah.
Like, no way.
Right. That
like,
is
they
insane.
really.
He's going galaxies away, and it's like he still has what he needs.
Yeah. It's like, oh, your USB port is exactly the same as mine in this other planet.
Some serious ins and outs, dudes.
Somebody went through the entire universe and said, hey, this is the way that we do
they
this now.
They compiled a list.
Yeah.
The galactic standard.
But what I'm saying is someday they'll make a Star Wars where that'll be an episode, and like it's like, I don't have the right connector port.
Right. He needs Android and they only have Lightning.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Hell yeah. Oh man, I think I'm gonna have to call this one.
Fair enough, man. Yeah. Like, we got shit to do, man.
Yeah, I got to wake up early.
Fair enough, man.
Dude, this was a blast, though, man.
Dude,
yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Hell yeah, dude. This has been great.
Yeah,
I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Cool.